All right, and welcome everybody to Games Over Plastic. This is episode number 3. We are here. This is a very special episode. Games Over Plastic, the podcast, which is for the agnostic gamers, all games, no console wars over here. Very special episode as we are going to be joined by a special guest for the first time ever. As always, I am Midnight. I'm joined by my two amazing co-hosts and one said special guest, which we're so excited about. First of all, we have the man, the myth, the legend, the master platinum trophy hunter, everybody's favorite member of Discord, Sean Mason. How's it going, brother?
It's going great. Just hanging out today. I actually cut my finger earlier today. I was after I came back from my morning run, after I had breakfast, I decided to clean the bathroom, and I was like cleaning out the drain of my kitchen. I mean, of my bathroom sink, and I don't know. I just like sliced my finger. It wouldn't stop bleeding for like an hour. I had to put a sock over it and just sitting there with a sock on my hand.
Damn.
Because I didn't have
okay?
any Band-Aids. Okay? Yeah, I'm fine. I just didn't have any Band-Aids.
Okay. All right. We're going to be doing in this episode our top 10 games. That's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to see your list, Sean.
Well, I just have to prepare everyone. My list is full of weebery, a lot of weeb games, so just throwing that out there. So be careful, folks.
Absolutely. All right, and then next, of course, we have the man who does it all, the master of the graphics. You love our graphics. It's all thanks to this man. He's a podcaster. He's a musician. He's a Chad. Hodge, how you doing, friend?
I'm doing good. I don't know about a Chad, and I try and do it all, but I don't know if I master it all. But I appreciate you having me. And by the way, we got these in. I'm the only one who got it in the mail already, but for the listening audience, we got Midnight sent us these awesome Games Over Plastic shirts, and I'm enjoying it. But I've also been enjoying some games we'll be talking about later, so excited to be here. Happy. I hate that we wait 2 weeks, but it's always worth it when we start.
Yeah, absolutely. That off week is always tough. Like that off Saturday, I'm like, man, I wish we could. We record on Saturdays for the listeners. I'm always like, man, I kind of want to record. Like this sucks having to wait a week, but It is what it is. Last but absolutely not least, we have our very first, our virgin special guest. This man here. What? No, he's breaking our show's virginity for guests.
Okay, that's better.
Yeah, let's keep this PC. We have this man. All right, so let me give you guys a little bit of background. A lot of people listening to the show, you probably know who this guy is because we have a crossover with other audiences. But this guy is awesome. I wanted him the very first day that we did this show, and like I was talking to Sean, I was talking to Hodge. I also reached out to Lockmort, and I was like, "Hey, brother, we're doing a podcast. I want to have you on the show. I want you to be a permanent guest host." And he was like, man, I really want to do it. It sounds awesome, but I got stuff coming up. I don't have the time. So unfortunately, he couldn't be the host, but we are thrilled to have him as a guest, the editor-in-chief, the commander-in-chief of the anti-weeb army, Lockmort. What's up, bro? How you doing?
That's a very nice introduction. Thank you so much. That's very nice of you. I'm honored to be here. I watched your first 2 episodes. They were awesome. Like normally when you have people starting their own podcast, it always starts very moderately, but yours was really great out of the gate. High production value. You even got your own merch, so that's awesome. I love you guys.
Thank you.
Hopefully not putting the cart before the horse with the merch, but you know.
That really means a lot to us. You're like probably one of the best editors I've ever just come across on the internet.
Wow.
Your edits are hilarious, and it's just an honor to be here with you.
Wow, you're making me blush. That's very nice of you, Sean. You have awesome hair, and you're an awesome person too. So,
He's got anime hair.
That's why I wore it. I mean, that's what I had to go for that weave hair. You know.
Oh well, that's unfortunate, but yeah, it looks cool. I love all 3 of you. You're all great.
Thank you. Thank you. You're the man. Yeah, it's funny, the edits, of course, Lock does the Lockmort edits. When I'm on my YouTube, it constantly recommends me old Lockmort edits, and I always watch them every time. Like I watched one making fun of Dustin and one making fun of Chris just yesterday. You just can't beat it. But yeah, so we're thrilled to have you here. We're going to have a 4-panel today. It's going to be really excited. We're thrilled because in this episode, we're going to be going off one of our topics, and this is going to be one of the best topics that we have. It's our top 10 favorite games of all time. We're going to be ranking them from 10 to 1. It's going to be great. Games Over Plastic, everybody. The podcast is available on YouTube with video. You can see our lovely faces, and you can see the graphics that Hodge puts together. We're going to be ranking the games. You'll be able to see the list and follow along. So if you want the video, hit up YouTube/MidnightDT, which you can see down there. Or just search for Games Over Plastic. You will find it. It is also available on audio services everywhere. Podcast services, Spotify, Apple Music, Pocket Cast, whatever else. What was the other one? Opencast or something, Hodge?
Overcast. It's on just basically any audio. Once it goes on Apple, it goes to every other app. So we're
literally everywhere. As far as the shirt, I want to let you guys know that these shirts are not currently available for public sale. Unfortunately, we just got them for us, limited run. But in the future, who knows? We might put together if people actually are interested in our stupid shirts. Maybe we'll put it together and you guys can buy it. What else? The podcast will go up every other week on Mondays. I think I'm going to change the time a little bit earlier. I think that's better. I think I'm going to have it go live at 8 a.m. Eastern time from now on Mondays. That way, if you guys are East time people, maybe you want to listen to the podcast on your commute, it's going to be available for you. So that's going to be the plan. If anyone has topics or questions, leave it in the comment section on YouTube. We do read every single comment. We appreciate every single comment. And if we like your comment or idea, we may use it in a show. You never know. So that's the intros and the administrative stuff out. Let's go ahead and get into some fun topics here. Does anyone have... There's one thing I wanted to mention because I know everybody here is really excited about this. I wanted to talk about this very briefly, if that's okay. The Fallout TV show. I know all of you, this whole panel is super thrilled about the Fallout TV show. The trailer came out. Does anyone have any thoughts about the Fallout TV show? The trailer, you guys excited?
It's going to be amazing. I already know it's going to be good. I think we're on it could be like Last of Us show levels, which I thought the Last of Us show was awesome, and I think Fallout could be right there with it.
Hopefully it's not on Halo levels.
Oh God. I didn't even watch that. I refuse to watch it.
I watched the first 15 minutes of the first episode. It felt like a really bad fan film, and I turned it off and never went back to it. I couldn't do it. But Fallout, I watched that new trailer yesterday where it kind of had the Walton Goggins is like a normal person before he turns into the whatever dude, I forgot his name. But it just the vibe of that trailer was so good. I can't wait for it. I was a little worried when I saw who the showrunner was. Apparently they make pretty bad stuff, but that trailer has sold me so far. So I really do hope it's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't watch the trailer personally because I don't want to be spoiled, but I'm definitely going to watch the show. Block, I didn't want to cut you off. What was your thoughts?
No. You can always cut me off. That's no problem. No, I love the trailer. I was just going to say that I think it's a bit of a shame that they're dropping them all at once because I really wanted to have that week by week experience, but it's also pretty cool. Like it's 8 episodes. They're dropping them all at once. So that's going to be a very, very fun weekend, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to watch it all at once?
Yeah. I have to, but it'll be fun.
It's a nice 8-hour day. It's not bad.
I'll probably space it out. I'll probably watch a couple episodes at first, and then what I like to do is watch one episode of a show per day. Like when I'm eating my dinner or whatever, I'd make a little thing of it. But yeah, that's the Fallout TV show. We're all looking forward to that. We may actually do a Fallout TV show kind of discussion, review, spoiler cast special episode in our off week in the future. So we haven't 100% decided, but we're thinking we might do that. So potentially, maybe
if it doesn't
look forward
suck.
to that. We'll see. If it sucks, we'll probably just act like it never happened, and you won't see that.
Yeah. Well, there's no Halo
Also, quickly on TV news, I just want to mention that I'm still on my Apple TV binge. Awesome service. I watched, started For All Mankind. I watched the first season. That's the space show where it's the space race never ended and the Soviets hit the moon first. You've seen it, Locke?
Yeah, I loved it. I saw the first 4 seasons. Well, those are the only seasons that are out, but I saw all 4 of them, I think a month ago, and it's one of my favorite shows ever now. It's amazing. Yeah.
I'll have to watch it.
Yeah, wow. It's the production value there is insane. It's nuts.
Yeah, I watched the first season. Like I told you guys, hit up Best Buy, get that free 3-month trial. This is not sponsored. I wish Apple would sponsor this podcast. That'd be insane, but definitely not. Also, I watched the movie Napoleon. I was very disappointed, unfortunately. I really wanted to love that movie. I'm a huge Napoleon fan, Napoleonic Wars fan, history buff. I know a ton about that period and about that war. I know about a lot of the battles. They didn't do it justice at all. Did anybody see that movie?
No, once I saw the reviews, I kind of passed on it.
I'm the only one?
No, I did see it. I did see it because he got defeated here, very close to where I live.
He did. Waterloo, that was in Belgium, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So congrats.
Thank you.
I was too busy watching Madam Web.
Oh God. You actually saw that?
No, I didn't see it. No.
Oh, thank God.
Okay.
I was
But
worried.
yeah, the Napoleon film kind of sucked, unfortunately. It wasn't historically accurate. They didn't do him justice at all. Napoleon is no doubt one of the probably top 3 best generals of all time. This dude was a genius. Yep. He defeated all of Europe, a whole coalition of countries come together. He defeated them 5 times. He was 5-0, like 1v3, 1v5 against all these countries. You go into that film, like a normal person watching that film, you don't come away from it thinking he was a great general at all.
No.
But anyways, this is not a Napoleon podcast. It's a gaming podcast. So let's go ahead and move on. Before we move on, does anyone have anything they want to discuss? TV, movies, food, fun related?
Not really. I just kind of occasionally throw on an episode of something to fall asleep to, but I haven't really been watching stuff because I've been obsessed with the game we're going to be talking about shortly.
Let's.
So I just want to say, before we go, rest in peace, Toriyama, Akira Toriyama.
Yes.
I actually watched a couple episodes of Dragon Ball last night. Dragon Ball was like my childhood. Like that got me. Like that was like one of my gateways to anime, and I couldn't believe when I heard the news. I woke up yesterday and I came back from my morning run, and I was like, oh my God, like I could not believe it. Like I'm still in disbelief. He was 68. He's so young, and it's just crazy that like last month I read Sandland, like because that game's coming out in April, and that's one of his works, and it was.
I love it.
Yeah, it was phenomenal, and I can't believe he's gone.
Yeah, I guess I lied. I watched about 4 hours of Dragon Ball Z yesterday. I was when I found out he passed away, I turned off Rebirth and just started watching Dragon Ball Z, and I watched for like 2 hours before I went to bed. I loved that show. That show was my childhood. Coming home from school every day, turning on Toonami, watching some DBZ. That was the life.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, yeah. Rest in peace, Toriyama. Moment of silence for him. All right. Locke, did you have anything about Toriyama you wanted to say? I know you're a huge weeb, huge anime fan.
No. Well, apparently he meant a lot to a lot of people. I never heard of the guy, of course, but apparently he was very. That's not meant in a disrespectful way. I never heard of him, but he seems to have meant a lot to a lot of people. Maddie loved him too. Dustin loved him too. So it's very heartwarming to see. Well, heartwarming. It's very sad to see so many people be so sad, but it's also cool to see them all celebrate the work he's done. So rest in peace, I guess.
You may not like him for it, but he influenced bringing anime to America and stuff. He's the reason why it got so popular.
Well, no comment then.
You have him to blame, honestly, for the invasion of the West. He led the charge.
Yeah.
But
it's a G.
All right. Let's move on to a little bit happier topics. Let's get into what we are playing, shall we, gentlemen? And why don't we go ahead and start with our fantastic guest, Lockmort.
Wow.
What have you been playing? Let's hear about it.
2 things. One, Helldivers, of course. Everyone's playing Helldivers. I love it. I think I'm like 60 hours in by now, 70 hours in. I've still played almost every day. It's amazing what they've done with this game. It's just I'm having so much fun just playing with my friends. It never gets old. Even though the gameplay is always the same, it's fantastic. Fantastic. I can't say anything bad about it. It's so much fun.
Oh my God.
And then,
yeah.
Oh, you're playing it too?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, we should team up at some point.
Yeah, we're gonna have to play sometime. I'm obsessed with this game. It's so good. I actually played for 2 hours before we started recording today.
Oh, really? That's what level are you?
Oh, I'm 36. 36, I think
Perfect, yeah.
37, something like
Yeah,
that.
perfect. I'm 33, I think. So that's perfect. That's cool.
Yeah,
That's
I
cool.
love it. It's so much fun. I gushed about it last episode, and yeah, this is a game. It's like the new kind of Fortnite thing of where it's going to last
Yeah.
years, and it's going to be just always hopping in. It's so much fun.
Yeah, and they're supporting it so well. Like they keep so well. There's been a lot of issues, but they keep supporting it by adding new stuff. Like the mechs they added now. That's so cool.
Mhm.
I'm so interested to see what they do next. So yeah, Helldivers is amazing.
Yeah, and apparently the people who played the first one are like the third faction that's going to join. It's even harder than the automatons. So I'm like, oh, great, because the automatons whoop my ass every time.
Yeah.
They're so hard to fight.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait. That's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. But anyway,
All right, Helldivers.
Yeah.
You had another one you said?
Yeah, I'm also playing. Well, this is pretty shameful for me, but I'm also playing Rebirth, which is weebery. But I've been told by Brad that it's not. It's like weebery adjacent, so it doesn't really count. So I should be in the clear. But yeah, sadly I don't have a lot of time this week, or I didn't have a lot of time this week to play. But I think I'm 11 or 12 hours in. I'm still in chapter 2 because I want to do everything. No spoilers, of course. But in chapter 2, it opens up, right? You do the open world stuff, but there's so much stuff to do that I'm hooked on it. I played for like 1 hour a day, I think, maybe 2 hours a day, and in those 2 hours, I just clear like a side of the map, and that's it. But it's so much fun. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Nice. Can I just say thank you so much for saying that, Locke? Because I was getting bullied. I was playing like 10 to 12 hours, and I was still in chapter 2, and people were bullying me. They were like, "Man, you're taking so long. Like everybody in the world is further than you."
Well, they are. Yeah,
Like-
it seems like they are. Like people keep telling me the same thing too. Like, why are you playing so slow? Like, I'm just playing the game, man.
I'm having fun, man.
Yeah.
Well, I poke fun at you, but I'm also playing on journalism mode, so that's why I'm getting through it quicker. Because I've said this before, I play games on easy if it's an option because I just don't have time for that much gaming anymore. So I just want to enjoy the story, enjoy the gameplay. So I always play games on easy if it's an option. If it's not a normal, whatever. But yeah, that's why I've been getting through it quick. But yeah.
It's respectable. I'm playing on normal. I'm happy to say I'm toughing it out. There's been a couple times where I've struggled against bosses, and the thought of going down to easy has entered my mind. But nope, I've defeated all the bosses on normal. Most of them first try, even. But it is tough sometimes. Some of these boss fights, you really gotta. You're burning through some potions, and it's taking a lot of mental processing ability trying to queue up and get all these abilities. Sean, what were your thoughts about Rebirth? I saw you coming in there.
Yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. This game is blown away every expectation I've had. I'm 31 hours in. I'm in chapter 9. Yeah, I played a lot this past week. Probably much more than I should have. I kind of neglected grading some papers and some other stuff. Unfortunately,
Priorities.
Yeah, priorities, of course. But yeah, no, I am blown away. The open world aspect, I can't believe what they've done with it. It's so different than like the original, but it's kind of like what I imagined what was actually going on when they were when they were coming up with the game. Like in my mind, I imagined this big open world sprawling adventure, whereas obviously the PS1 couldn't handle that, so they couldn't do that. But I'm loving it. I'm loving the main story is so good. It's captivating. It's so tempting to not clear out the entire open world sections because I just want to get to the main story. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm enjoying what I'm doing when I'm doing, all the towers and the various side quests. Just the expansion of the relationships between the characters too is awesome. Like I'm loving, I love when you get that notification on like the right side. It's like your relationship has changed with Tifa. It is deepened with Tifa. I absolutely love that. And the main party I'm usually rocking with, I usually do Cloud, Barrett, and Tifa. Like that's like the classic trio right there. I like them. I'm not a big fan of Aerith. I never have been. I've never been.
How dare you?
I apologize. We all know the best. I do like Red 13 a lot as well. I think he's pretty cool. There is a really fun mini game later on in the game, way after chapter 2, that you get to play as Red 13. It's really fun. For those who like Rocket League, you might like it. So I'm just putting that out there.
Well, that was in chapter 6, wasn't it? Like in the beach? Beachside?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't want to spoil anything,
Okay. Well, maybe I just did, but it's super minor. But yeah, that
Chapter
Rocket League
6.
stuff was fun.
It's a side
Yeah,
mission.
Chapter 6. There's a lot of mini games, and I enjoyed them. I know a lot of people gave them flack, but I really enjoyed them. And Queen's Blood, absolutely enjoyed. It's a blast. Oh my gosh,
I hated it.
I
at
want
first,
my
but
own.
I love it now.
Yeah.
I
Same.
want a standalone Queen's Blood game. Like I want a standalone game, and I will buy packs for this game.
Yeah.
And I'm not a trading card guy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
when you were talking about what they're going to do at the open world, I remember that was like the big thought everyone had when they announced the first game was just Midgar. Everyone's like, well, how are you going to handle the open world once it opens up? And they've done it really well. It's a little Ubisofty, but it's so much fun. I don't feel it's a drag to clear those areas at all. It's just fun to do. I'm in love with this game. My party though is always Cloud, either Aerith or Barrett, and then someone you get later. Well, I won't spoil. I mean, if you know the party, you know who it is, but I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah,
But
I'm not a big fan of that character.
I
Never
am.
have been.
If we're thinking
Never
of the
have
same
been.
one, I'm a fan of her. So Lockmort. So you said Rebirth and Helldivers were your two games.
Yeah.
Are you satisfied? Have you got your points off on those?
Yeah. Well, tomorrow, because I'm gonna be on another show on Monday, so tomorrow I have to play Stalker all day, but that's gonna be awesome too. But these are the only two games I played this week, so I can't say anything more, sadly.
You're going to play
I'll
the
have to hop
original
into
Stalker
Stalker.
trilogy?
Yes. Again, I've already played them when they came out, like a decade and a half ago, but I have to replay them now, which is gonna be interesting.
yeah, when they
Nice.
announced
Yeah, I've
that
never played them
trilogy,
either.
I was like, or that original, I was like, I might have to play it now.
It still holds up, or it holds up better than I thought it did. Actually, it's the only thing that's really not aged very well is the shooting, but everything else is still pretty good. Yeah, definitely give it a try.
Is that game like really difficult or hardcore? Because for some reason I have the impression that game's like a hardcore, difficult game, like intimidating.
It's Eurojank hard, so it's completely unfair, and you run into bosses that shouldn't be there, or you run into enemies that are way stronger, and you're a glitch out of the game, but that's part of the game. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah.
Eurojank.
Okay, fair enough. And then Sean, it says here you were playing Rebirth. You kind of already went into that. Did you have anything else on Rebirth, or are you satisfied?
That's the only thing I'm playing, and that's the only thing I will be playing until I pretty much finish it and get the platinum.
Oh, you're gonna get
And
the
then
plat.
I can't wait. I keep thinking about it. Like all day at work this week, all I was doing was thinking about it. My students were I gave a quiz yesterday in like 4 of my classes, and I gave a bonus question on each quiz. They were all Final Fantasy themes. It was great.
It's awesome.
I think one kid got it right. One kid
How-
got it right. Got one of them.
How awesome would it be if Sean's your teacher in school? That'd be great.
I'm
All
not
right,
that
that was
great.
Cool, just
beautiful,
to do
yeah.
it.
So for me, 2 games on my list here that I want to talk about. First being Baldur's Gate 3. I went into more detail about this last episode, so I'm not going to go super heavy on this game right now. But I did beat Baldur's Gate 3. It's a phenomenal game. One of the greatest games I've played in a long time. I loved it. It was so good. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. And I'm also playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth as well. That game is awesome. I am like 17 hours in. I am about to hit chapter 7, I think. I'm about to finish 6. I'm at the end of 6, I believe. So I'll be in chapter 7. So good. My party that I like to rock with, I'm a Barrett main. I really enjoy playing as Barrett. So I always have Barrett when I can. And then I have Cloud usually as kind of like my tank sword dude. And then I like to have Aerith because she's best girl. And I like her casting and healing and stuff. So that's my party right there. As Locke would say, I saw this, Locke, exposed. I would say Aerith is my waifu.
But that was somewhere else. That was on another show. But yeah, was it? No, I don't know where I said that. But yeah, true. I love her. I think she's great. Sean, the other one is Tifa is good too. But I like the voice actress mostly. She sounds really nice and really sweet. And yeah, I'm very interested to see where it goes. But I always use her and Red 13 in my party.
She
You like
really.
her,
I think the
I was gonna say the actress for Aerith really sells like her innocence.
Yeah,
Of the character. She's
Exactly,
really really good.
I was gonna say I think all the voice acting is phenomenal in the game. I think all of the actors, they portray their characters so well. I said this last week when or I don't know, I said it before. I talked about Barrett's voice, and I think he is Barrett. That's what I pictured Barrett as a kid. I think Cloud's voice actor does a great job. They all just do such a good job. They capture the character's essence. I love it.
Yeah.
Now, are you guys playing in English or Japanese?
English.
I mean, we know what Locke's playing in. We know Locke. What about the other two?
English.
I'm playing in English, but I have switched to Japanese sometimes. So a lot of times with those type of games, Final Fantasy I usually stick to English, but a lot of JRPGs I do play in Japanese. It
Awesome.
depends on the vibe.
I'm playing in Japanese because I'm learning Japanese. If people didn't know that, I've been learning Japanese for over a year, so it's kind of like practice for me and reinforcement to hear the Japanese audio, and I can pick out like, oh yeah, I knew what that sentence meant. I knew that word. I knew that sentence. So that's cool. Aerith, Japanese voice actress, is amazing. Like, she's just so innocent and pure and lovable. Her voice, so I love it. And I'm also a big fan of the other character that Sean or someone said they didn't like, the one that shows up later. I like her. I think she's awesome.
It's not that I don't like her. It's just that she was always not high on my priority list to like in the original. Like, you don't have to. She doesn't have to join your party in the original.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like on subsequent playthroughs, sometimes I just would avoid her.
Yeah, I just think she's fun as hell to play as. She's just fun.
Oh, I think her combat's awesome. But
yeah, that's the only reason I have her, is because she's so much fun to play as. But yeah.
So, all right, so that'll do it for me. Those are my two games, Baldur's Gate 3 and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. And then Hodge, you want to bring it home here with the last things you want to mention and what you're playing?
Yeah, so first, mostly I've been playing Rebirth. So I actually quit my job this week for many reasons we don't have to get into on here, but so I've been home for like the last 4 days. Nice. So I'm at 38 hours in chapter 10 in the game right now. I've been playing it pretty much religiously when I'm not playing Helldivers, which is the other game I'm playing, as we talked about earlier. Two amazing games. PlayStation's knocking it out of the park this year so far, that's for sure. But the other game, so I don't have to get into those too much, but the other game I'm playing, a new update for Vampire Survivors came out. So I was playing that, and it's funny. It's like an Among Us like collab, and it's really fun because the vampire or the little Among Us guys are like your support weapon on the level, and it's really funny. But that game, if anyone hasn't played Vampire Survivors, it's one of the most addicting games ever. I 100% it when it came out in like a week because I was just constantly playing it. It's so good. And so every time and it's so nice because the game itself is on Game Pass, but then all the DLCs are like $2. So every time a DLC comes out, I'm like, I'm not going to not give this dude $2 to play more of this game. So every time one comes out, and so this is the third DLC to come out. And so I played it and I already 100% it. And so now I'm just waiting for the next one to come out whenever that happens. But yeah, so Vampire Survivors is the other one. But yeah, that's all I'm playing.
Awesome.
All right. Excellent. All right, well, let's go ahead and get this moving here because we have a lot to talk about. This topic is going to be big and it's going to be a lot of fun. So we are going to get into our top 10 favorite games of all time. We're going to be ranking them from 10 to 1. The way that we're going to do this is we are going to first do our 10 through 6, and that's going to be rapid fire. Okay, so we're not going to go into a ton of depth and detail on this. It's going to be short and brief for 10 through 6, guys. But once we get to 5 through 1, we're going to open it up and go into a lot more depth. As I said, the video version on Midnight DT YouTube channel, Games Over Plastic, we're going to have all the graphics there. You can see the rankings and everything and follow along. Also, I should have mentioned this earlier, but we understand that you guys have lives, listeners. You know, maybe you can't listen to a full 2-hour podcast or whatever in one go. So there will be very generous and good timestamps available so you can jump around to what interests you. If you're a big fan of some of the games, if you don't have time to listen to the whole show, but you're a fan of a couple of the games, you can just skip right to it and hear us what we got to say about that.
Really
so
quickly,
let's go ahead and
really quickly before you get into it. You already did say that's favorite. We're doing our favorite games, not the top games. So don't come yell at me when I don't pick a game that you guys like. These are our personal favorite games, not what we think are the 10 best games of all time.
Exactly, because if we were ranking our 10 best, the 10 best games of all time, then obviously number one would be Redfall, like for all of us. So, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, spoilers. It's on my list. Come on.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll see when we get to that. So, shall we begin, gentlemen?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
We ready? All right. So we're gonna go clockwise on your screen here. We're gonna start with me. We're gonna go around the clock with the graphic. It'll all make sense. So we're gonna start with me. My number 10 game of all time. Let me pull up my list, although I know what it is. My number 10 is XCOM UFO Defense, the original game. This game came out like a long time ago. I don't even know when it came out, like in the 90s or early 2000s. It was on the PlayStation 1. It was on PC. This is the OG by Microprose. This game is awesome. Big fan. It spawned a lot of these tactics games. I used to create my own characters with names. Everyone, I would name them after my family. I would have me. I would have my brother. I would have my dad, and I would create guards too. Like my brother would have 2 guards that were like just fodder to roll him with him and make sure he doesn't die. They would go out first and get shot at. Good times. I love that game. So my number 10. Again, we're keeping these brief, 10 through 6. XCOM UFO Defense. So next will be Sean. What is your number 10, sir?
Oh, so my number 10 is Ni no Kuni 2. Ni no Kuni 2. Yeah, so, by the way, before I go, I limited myself to 1 game per franchise. So 1 game per franchise. And my list, like I said, is full of weebery. So the title again is Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom. It came out in 2018. This game was an absolute blast. It gets a lot of flack. A lot of people like the first Ni no Kuni, which I loved, but Ni no Kuni 2 was more of an action RPG in terms of the gameplay, but the story was phenomenal. You're trying to pretty much figure out a mystery about what's going on in the kingdom, why basically the kingdom's run amok. There's some like town building aspects too. Like you have a kingdom you have to build with resources, and you go out and do missions, and you come back and build up your kingdom. I had a blast with it. The DLC was really fun too. I played this. I didn't play it right when it came out, I remember, because that was when I was finishing up my senior year of college. But I played it that summer, and I remember just blasting through it in like 2 weeks in July, and I just absolutely loved it. It's a great game. Combat was really fun. Missions cool. Yeah, overall it was awesome.
All right, great pick. I believe that was on Game Pass. Might still be on Game Pass if people want to check that out. Ni no Kuni 2, good pick. Hodge, what's your number 10?
Yeah, my number 10 is Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. I've never been a fighter gamer. Like, obviously, growing up, you had Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, and that kind of stuff. But the Dragon Balls, I was such, as we talked earlier, R.I.P. Akira Toriyama, I was so into Dragon Ball Z that these 3 games, I loved all 3, but 3 was like the peak one. It had the open world where you'd fly to where you have to go fight someone, and the level was different based on where in the world you. It had all the secrets. You could find Broly after. You could find Super Saiyan 4, which is a GT thing. And just, I've never been a fighter game person, and honestly, none of the DBZ games since have ever really appealed. I know a lot of people say Tenkaichi's their favorite, or a lot of people like Xenoverse, but the Budokais have always been my favorite. And the third one is I played it religiously as a kid. You could do like the Tournament of Power to unlock stuff, and I played it so much that I adore this game. But yeah, that's my number 10.
Nice.
Right on. Good pick. Never played it personally. Lockmort, what's your number 10?
Well, my number 10 is a bit of is for Sean, really, but also for everybody else, because my number 10 is Final Fantasy VII Remake, a game that I recently only played and finished because I'd never wanted to give it a chance, but I'm so glad I did, because I fell in love with every single character in that game. It was amazing. It blew me away. I haven't experienced a story or characters like this in, well, apart from Baldur's Gate 3, I guess, in over a decade. It was really, it touched me in ways, well, in good ways. Let's keep it at that. Even down to the graphics. The lighting they use in that game is very warm or very cold. It's very emotive. The music is fantastic. I loved it. I loved everything about it. And I got very lucky because as soon as I finished it, I jumped straight into Rebirth. So maybe this year is going to be my Final Fantasy awakening, I guess. But yeah, it's amazing.
Nice.
You got
Love it. Love it.
You got to be careful. This is how they get you though, Lock. Like Brad, he's setting you up. Like he's like,
Gateway weebery.
it's not really weebery. He's trying to push you in, and then he's going to kick you off that cliff.
Well,
into straight weebery.
He assured me it's adjacent, that it doesn't count, because otherwise I would put it on my most hated list. But that so far it works.
Fair enough. Just be careful. That's all I'm saying, man.
Sure.
They try to pull you in, and then they stab you in the back, man. You got to be careful.
That's true.
These weaves. I'm just kidding. All right. Great picks, guys. My number 9 pick. This is a game. If you guys know Midnight, if you know me, you know that I sweat this game. I always talk about this game. I have a dedicated video on my channel about why this is the best PlayStation exclusive. Right now, my co-hosts probably know what I'm about to say. My number 9 game is Ghost of Tsushima. Absolutely love this game. Sucker Punch Productions, I love you. Stand up. This game is beautiful. This is like Ubisoft style game perfected. It's beautiful. The map is cluttered in the menu, but when you're actually in the game, it's not at all. You're using your eyes. You're following the wind. You got the beautiful, like the trees and the flowers and the colors. The sword fighting and all the stances is amazing. The story is amazing. This game would honestly almost be a 10 out of 10 for me. I only have one gripe, though, that brings it down, is that you really have no agency in the story at all. Like, it's going to happen exactly how it happens. You don't really have a choice on whether you want to be the honorable guy or the ninja. They have a narrative to tell, and that's what they're going to do. So that brings it down a hair for me, but I absolutely love Ghost of Tsushima. So freaking good. I'll cut it short there. Go watch my video if you want to hear more about it. I drone on for like 30 minutes on it. I don't even remember. My number 9, Ghost of Tsushima.
I always said that Ghost of Tsushima is Assassin's Creed if Assassin's Creed was good.
Whoa. I like Assassin's Creed.
I do too, but it's better than every Assassin's Creed game.
It is. I don't have any Assassin's Creeds on my list, so I have to agree with you.
Yeah.
All right. Number 9, Sean, you're up.
My number 9 is The Outer Worlds. Came out in 2019 from Obsidian, one of my favorite devs.
BlackRock.
And published. Yep. Absolutely adored this game when it came out. It took over my November that year, and I played through it 100%. Some of the relationships. I know I really enjoyed the fact that it was kind of like a more self-contained open world. It was kind of like a smaller areas. The story was awesome. A lot of different endings. The choices in the game really do matter. I don't want to spoil anything about the game, but like if you want to play this game, I really highly suggest it. If you like Fallout New Vegas, definitely play this game. It blew me away. And the DLC, oh my gosh. The DLC was fantastic. Murder on Eridanos, just probably one of my favorite DLCs of all time. Yeah, I can't say anything bad about this game. I played 100% of it on PS4 when it came to PlayStation. I 100% it on Xbox, played it on Steam, 100% of it there. It was amazing. Absolutely loved it.
All right. Yeah, I love that.
Nice.
I think we're all Obsidian fans here for the most part. Yeah, I never played the DLC. I got to get to that sometime. I got
so good. Both of them are great.
Yeah, all right.
Perils on Gorgon.
Nice.
Let's keep it moving here. At number 9, we have Hodge. What is your pick, my friend?
My number 9 is Wolfenstein 3D, the original Wolfenstein. I think I could be wrong. I think doesn't it even predate Doom. I think.
Yeah,
it was.
Does.
Yeah. So growing up, we had just a little crappy computer where we'd occasionally play stuff like Star Wars, the one that just got remastered. Why I'm blanking on it?
Dark Forces.
Battlefront.
Dark Forces, yeah. And so I'd always play that, but the one I always played just religiously was Wolfenstein 3D. I knew at the time where every fake wall was that brought you to a new tunnel. Go to the Pac-Man little levels, just shooting Mecha Hitler. It was just like, it was just so absurd, but so much fun. And even I bought it on 360 when it was like re-released on that, and I 100% it again. I've always, as a child, like a lot of my games you're going to see on here, most of them I have some newer games, but a lot of them are from when I was a kid because they're the games that influenced me as a gamer. So Wolfenstein 3D, that was one of the first PC games. And that yeah, like the Star Wars games, and then this game maybe no one's ever heard of called Journeyman Project 3: A Legacy of Time.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, I loved that game too.
Yes.
But Wolfenstein 3D was the one that I was the most obsessed with, and it really defined my love for. I probably even at just FPSs in general. Like it was one of my favorites as a kid. So yeah, I gotta have it there as number 9.
Nice.
Oh, fantastic pick. Fantastic. Lock, number 9.
Well, I did the same thing as Hodge because I also went back to my childhood and I remembered there was this game called The Curse of Monkey Island, which is a 3D adventure game. Well, it's not even 3D, it's 2D. A point-and-click adventure game. It's the third in a sequel. And I remember playing the first two when I was very little, so I couldn't really remember much of them until I replayed them. But this was the first one that I played on my own. The other two I played with my brother, but this was the first one I played on my own. And it was also the first one that I played when I really understood English. So I could understand the jokes in the game. It's very dialogue based. It's a puzzle game, really. So you basically move from room to room, solving puzzles, talking to people. It's very funny. The music in it is amazing. I still use some of the tracks in edits for LSM, for instance. I use the music. It's just this game, every time I see it or every time I play it or every time I hear the music, it just brings me back to my childhood. I love it. I love everything about it.
Yeah, awesome.
All right. I did not play that one. Okay. My number 8, we're on number 8 now, is going to be Elden Ring. Elden Ring, Game of the Year 2022, I believe. This game was awesome. This was my very first ever Souls game that I really played like thoroughly and beat. I tried Demon Souls way back in the day. My experience with Demon Souls on the PS3 was funny. I hopped in not having any clue what it was. I didn't know the zeitgeist. I walk in there. I see a message on the floor that someone had left saying like, oh, this guy ahead's really easy, like trolling me. It's like the intro boss or something. He absolutely destroyed me. He beat the shit out of me. And I quit the game. I was like, screw this game. What the hell is this? So Elden Ring came out. I finally gave it a chance. It's a beautiful game. It's open world. It's fantastic. The set pieces, the boss fights. It's just so amazing. I can't wait for Shadows of the Erdtree as well. Looking forward to that. I'll have to relearn the game again. Probably get my ass beat early on. But Elden Ring is my number 8. That's what's up there.
Nice.
All right. Sean, number 8.
All right. My number 8, again, I apologize for the weebery, is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for the Switch. It came out in 2017. This game absolutely blew me away. I put about 250 hours into this game. There's so much to do in the game. The open world for this game to run on the Switch, I can't believe it can run on the Switch. And honestly, Game Freak needs to take some notes on Pokemon to like how to develop a giant 3D open world game like this.
A good game.
Yeah, a good game. Yeah, basically. The combat is very, very like JRPG, like very mechanic heavy. If you're not into JRPGs, like hardcore, I would not suggest this game. But the story is phenomenal. It's very heartwarming. Your main character is Rex. He gets a lot of flack, but I absolutely love him. He's my favorite character in Xenoblade. You kind of get these blades, and the blades are characters, but they're also like act as weapons for you. Overall, just the whole cast was awesome. There was so many tear-jerking moments that I was crying playing the game. And up until that point, other than Mario Odyssey, I was really regretting buying a Switch because Breath of the Wild didn't click with me at all. And I'm not the biggest... I'm not the biggest, like, they had arms, and I'm like, yeah, this is cool, arms. And then Splatoon, I'm like, ooh, sweet. So I was kind of regretting buying a Switch, but then Xenoblade came out, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, well, Splatoon's dead now anyway because we got Foam Stars. So. All right, that was a good pick, Sean. I didn't play that one. Was that? If you remember way back in the day, they came out at E3. They had that Xenoblade Chronicles X or whatever with a really awesome trailer. Was that the same game?
No, it's the same series, but Xenoblade Chronicles X is a Wii U game. It's a spinoff, and it's a shame that it's stranded on the Wii U. I need a port of it on Switch 2. It is so good. Xenoblade, yeah, well, the music in Xenoblade games are awesome. But the last thing I'll say, Xenoblade Chronicles X is much more of a entry. Like I feel like more people could easily pick it up and play it than Chronicles.
All right. Right on. Good pick. Hodge, I think we're on number 8. What is your pick?
My number 8, I was actually, well, it's funny that it's at 8 because I was torn between two games, but I was debating with The Last of Us, but I actually went with Death Stranding. This game was, I remember when it was announced, I've said, we discussed this I think last episode, how I've never been really a Kojima person. I've never been able to get into Metal Gear Solid. And so when this game was announced, I was like, it looks like nonsense. All you do is walk around. And yeah, we talked about it when we were talking about 2 being announced. But I played it and it was on sale or something. So I was like, fine, I'll play it. And I was obsessed with it. 80 hours later, I'm just like, let's deliver some fucking packages. And just listening to podcasts while just wandering across the United States, just delivering packages to people. And it's one of those games where I've always joked with people, I'm like, it's the best game I would never recommend to anyone because it's just so weird. And if you want like a heavy action game, it's not that. It's almost a puzzler in the sense of you have to find your way around. You have to try and use ladders or ropes or whatever to get up and down mountains. You have to try and figure out how much weight you can carry from one place to the next and build the roads. And it's just this weird game, but I love it. I love everything about it. And I can't wait for the second one. And so this game, I voted, I think it's probably my favorite PS4 game, and I adore it. I can't say enough good things about it. But again, like when people are like, "Oh, would you recommend I play it?" I'm like, no, not really. Yeah, maybe you could try it if you don't like it. I'm not going to be offended if you don't like it. It's not for everyone. Because I mean, even I remember the reviews were super split. It was like some people were giving it a 6, some people were giving it a 9 or 10 or whatever. Like people were very split on it, and I fell into the camp of I thought I was going to hate it and ended up loving it. So it did crack my top 10 of all time because of that.
Nice.
All right. Good pick. Not in my list, but I love that game too, and it was considered. All right, moving on. Locke, what is your number 8?
My number 8 is Fable 2. I was a huge fan of Fable 1, but Fable 2, at least I think so, did everything better that Fable 1 did. Also the atmosphere in the game, it was very Tim Burton-like with the snow, and you start out in a little village as like a little orphan boy with your sister, and then you get a dog, and everything about it was so magical. Like to the graphics too, it had like all that bloom from the 2000s, like, like where every game had like that yellow tintish thing around it. And the game blew me away back then because you could get married, you could have kids. There were so many quests, there were so many things you could do, people you could turn into. That game blew me away. I think I have over like 200 hours in it by just playing it over and over again and trying new stuff. So that game, I love that game. Yeah.
You excited for the new one?
I hope so. Well, I want to be excited. Yeah, they have to show me a bit more. But if they nail it, that's going to be my new favorite game in the next couple of years. It's the one I'm looking forward to the most right now. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm excited. Look, hopefully Playground delivers. They have a good track record. We'll see.
Yeah.
Love that game. Yeah, you could have multiple wives. I would have one in one village and one in a different village and make sure they never meet, All right. Great pick.
We're talking about games, not your real life.
Oh, my bad. Moving on to number 7. Let's do this. My number 7 is going to be Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, KOTOR, number 1. Now, this was close because I really love KOTOR 2, and they're almost a tie for me. They're like so close, honestly. But I decided, like Sean, that I'm just going to pick one, and I'm going to go with KOTOR 1 by BioWare. So good. Absolutely love the story. I love the world. I love the role-playing. It's so good. The twist at the end or whatever, I didn't see it coming. It was really cool. Everybody needs to play that game. They are remaking it, which we actually had some positive news recently on the remake that the studio that's doing it splintered off. They're no longer under the oppressive, broke-ass thumb of Embracer Group. So hopefully they'll be able to actually develop and make the game. I can't wait to play that game. If and when it comes out, I will be there for sure. KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic, is my number 7. Phenomenal game.
Nice.
All right. Sean, number 7.
All right, number 7 for me is Tales of Xillia. Came out in 2013. I love the Tales of series, and this game blew me away. I'll never forget. I was a junior in high school, and I remember getting the game and just being blown away. I had actually grown a little soft on the Tales series. Like the last couple, I didn't really enjoy that much. So I'm like, oh, is this going to be for me, or am I over this series? And then getting it kind of just rejuvenated that interest in Tales. What they did to the combat system, they took the base combat system of the regular Tales games and just made it even better. It's more of a real time action. It's a real time turn-based kind of. You have like tech points, and you use tech points to like issue commands, and when you're out of tech points you can't use that command anymore, but they regenerate over time. And the story is the best story of any Tales game, so much so that Tales of Xillia actually got a sequel, Tales of Xillia 2, which Tales games don't get sequels. Like they never get sequels. So I was really pumped. This was my game of the year in 2013. So yeah, it blew me away.
Wow. Okay.
Nice.
All right. Hodge, number 7.
It's actually funny that this is my number 7 because I just shit talk Game Freak, but they weren't always crap. So my number 7 is Pokemon Yellow. This game was another one. I remember I had a Game Boy Color, and this game was always in it. This or Pokemon Silver, but Yellow has always been my favorite because the original region is just the best. It's the best. But I loved Pokemon as a kid. I have Pokemon tattoos because I'm such a cool guy. And I know a lot of people always were like, is it red or blue? And for some reason, yellow always stuck out to me. I always love having Pikachu follow you around the map and stuff. It's the same game. It's just you have Pikachu instead of one of the original starters. And yeah, it's surprising I'm not more into RPGs than I am now, because this was like, what people describe as baby's first RPG or whatever.
It's baby's first RPG.
Yeah, so like I loved even like Let's Go when that came out. I liked it more than Sword and Shield or any of the other ones that came out for Switch. This original version of Pokemon was always my favorite, and honestly I don't think they've ever topped it. So yeah, this game was another childhood love of mine, so I had to include it.
Okay.
Nice.
Right on. Yeah, when it comes to Pokemon, I've only ever beaten one Pokemon ever, and it was Pokemon X and Y on 3DS, and I loved it. Great game. I'm looking forward to when I finally get a Switch. I'm gonna have some catch up to do. All right, where are we at? Lockmort, I believe we're at number 7.
Yeah, my number 7 is Bioshock Infinite. For a couple of reasons. Everybody loves the original Bioshock. I love it too. Of course, it's amazing. But Bioshock Infinite, at least in my opinion, still has the best ending I've ever seen in any game to this day. It completely blew me away. Not only that, but the music in the game and the art direction really in the entire game was so beautiful, so innocent. The way they have Elizabeth act in the game and the way she sings at certain points, or the way they manipulate you by using current day music, but they put it back in that timeline. It's so well done. It's so beautiful. I adore that game. I've played it so many times over and over again. It's really special to me. Yeah.
My favorite DLC of all time.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
I need to play the DLC.
It's my favorite DLC like of all time. It's so good.
Yeah, I had a little crush on Elizabeth back then. She was nice.
Yeah, well,
great
have
pick.
A crush on her, so.
Great pick. I'm excited for is it Ken Levine, right? His next game. I'm looking forward to that.
Judas.
It's gonna be good, I hope.
Not wait.
Yeah.
All right. So that brings us to number 6. My number 6 is going. This is weebery here. I think this is my only weeb game in the whole list, though, so I'm proud of myself. I kept the weebery to a minimum. Persona 4 Golden is my number 6. This is a great game. Shout out to Sean. He loves it too. To be fair, I haven't played Persona 3 yet. Persona 3 Reload is on my list, so I'll get to that. And I didn't play Persona 5 Royal either, so I don't have the best grounds to judge the Persona games. But I did finish Persona 4 Golden, and I freaking loved it. This game was amazing. The characters was amazing. Obviously, everyone knows the music in Persona is always banging. Like they're so good. So that game is so good. I recommend it to anyone. It's on all platforms. It's on Game Pass still, maybe, I don't know. But in any case, Persona 4 Golden. I think Yukiko, I think was her name, best girl for sure. But yeah, that's going to be my pick, Persona 4 Golden.
Nice.
One of the best PS Vita games of all time.
I bought it. I panic bought it from the store when they were going to close down the store, and I still haven't played it.
Dude, you gotta play it. Play it on easy. I played it on easy.
I
Persona
should,
games
because
are
it could
good
be
to play on easy.
Yeah, because it could be a lay in bed game since it's a Vita game, so I could do that. Yeah.
I like to play Persona games on easy because they're so long, and we're talking about 80 to 100 plus hour games.
Yep.
So if you can break down the grind and make it a little bit shorter, the main thing for me anyway about Persona is the environment, the social links, and the story. That's what I'm mainly there for. So by minimizing the combat so it's not so grindy, I think it's a little better personally.
Yeah.
But okay, let's move on. Number 6 for you, Sean.
All right, we're gonna take a little break from the weebery. Number 6 for me is Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight. I absolutely adore this game. Yacht Club blew it out of the water. Blew me away with this game. It like combines Mario 3, Mega Man, Zelda 2, DuckTales, all these games that I loved that even though I was born after all those games came out, I loved playing them as a kid. So when Shovel Knight came out and it just like was an enhancement of that, oh, I couldn't believe it. I've played this game so many times. I own it a million. I bought the Wii U version, the 3DS version, the Switch version. I bought it everywhere, basically. I have Shovel Knight merch. I have custom T-shirts made with Shovel Knight on it, the amiibo. It blew me away. And Yacht Club continues to do a great job with everything they put out. And I really cannot wait for their next game, Mina the Hollower, which is supposed to come out this year. Fingers crossed. I played it last year at PAX East, and it seemed like it was in a really good state, so I was like, when's it coming out? But yeah, Shovel Knight, I highly encourage anyone to play it. Some people think it's really difficult. I don't find it that difficult, but I don't know, maybe because I like platformers a lot too. Yeah, I'm just amazing at games, you know. But yeah, Shovel Knight, can't recommend it enough.
Nice.
Right on. Hodge, number 6.
My number 6 is another game that is considered extremely hard, but I don't consider it that hard, is Hades. This game, I've never played a roguelike. I've never played one since this came out, never played one before, I don't think I have. I don't know. But this game, when it was announced, I looked at it and I was like, I don't know, it's a top-down game. It looks okay. I don't know. I had no real interest in it. But then it came to Game Pass. Another reason why I love Game Pass, I try things I would never would, and I played it, and I was obsessed. I played it through, got the 100%. I beat it however many, I think I cleared it 130 something times or something before I finally got the 100% on it. That's like, I think it was 4 or 5 days of playtime or something like that.
Wow. And
then I bought it again on PlayStation just to play it again. And then I platinumed it on PlayStation because I was that in love with this game. And so another one that's coming out soon or not soon, but that's been announced, is Hades 2. So I'm extremely excited for that one because this one, I'm obsessed with it. It's one of those games where I've actually debated. I haven't found any merch worth buying, I think, yet. That some of it's not designs I care for too much, except for one. They had a set of posters that was $180, and I didn't feel like spending $180 on posters. But yeah, so it's another one of those games where I'm obsessed with it. I tell people to play it, and I didn't know what that game style was. So when I cleared the first area when you beat Meg, I thought that was like a save point, so that's where you'd always come back to. No, you start from the beginning every time, and I had no idea. So the first time I died past Meg and I started over, I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" But then it eventually grabbed me, and I was just doing runs, clearing them in 15 minutes or something like that, and it just got. I can't express how much I love this game. I'm so excited for 2, and yeah, I had to include it in my top 10 because of that.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, good. Lockmort, what is your number 6?
My number 6 is the original Dark Souls. I played Dark Souls together with a couple of my friends. We all played it separately, of course, but none of us knew what it was. We just knew that it was this weird game that came out. Nobody really talked about it back then. It was brand new. I think we all bought it on PC, so the controls were awful. But there were really no guides anywhere. Nobody was talking about it on the internet. It was just so new that it was so surprising to see what happened in it. Like, we had no idea what was going on with the bosses, or how you could defeat certain bosses, or there were optional bosses, or how the maps all were so intricately connected. We just didn't know. So that game left such a lasting impression on me because it was so new. And then when I got to Dark Souls 2 and 3, and when you get to Elden Ring, you know what to expect. So it never resonated with me. I love those games, but they never resonated to me as much as the original Dark Souls.
All right. That's a good pick. Okay. So we are about to enter our top 5 territory. In this part here, we're going to expand a little bit, allow us to go in a little bit more depth if we want. So number 5, we're going to go ahead and start with me again, keeping the rotation going. My number 5 pick is going to be Cyberpunk 2077 by CD Projekt Red. This game is fantastic. I absolutely love it. Playing as female V is the way to go, by the way. Her voice actress is so much better. And you get to hook up with best girl Judy, hands down. You Pan Am fans, sorry, fall back. Judy's best girl. All right, I will die on that hill. But anyway, it's a phenomenal game. Shout out to CD Projekt Red. I love the city. I love the world. I love the story. The expansion, Phantom Liberty, played that last year. It was phenomenal too. Really, it's just so good. I basically 100%ed the game. I didn't get like the platinum or the 1000 gamer score or whatever, but I did pretty much everything in the game. I did all of the side jobs, all of the side stories, the whole story and everything. I just love that game. It's so good. Cyberpunk 2077. I can't wait for more from them, the sequel. The anime was great too, by the way. I don't know if anyone watched the anime on Netflix. Locke, I'm curious.
I gave it
watch that?
I gave it a chance for like 2 episodes, but I don't like that art style. Like, I hate it. It's probably very good and people loved it, so I bet it was great, but I can't do it. I hate people yelling at me, so
It's too much weebery for you.
yeah, way too much, but it looked cool. It looked cool. Yeah.
All right, so that's my number 5, Cyberpunk 2077. As we are now in the top 5, if anyone, we can do a little short roundtable if we want. Does anyone have thoughts or comments about 2077?
I played the base Cyberpunk last year for the first time, and it blew me away. I could not believe that this was a game that came out in 2020. And I know there was a lot of problems when it originally came out, but I'm so glad I waited and played it in. I encountered 0 bugs, 0 problems. The story is so captivating. Just so many good stories. The side quests really are lasting. I found some of the side quests to be more impactful than the actual main story. Yeah. I still have not played the expansion yet. I do plan on doing it sometime this year, probably this summer when I have all the free time in the world. But yeah, I adored it. I'm so glad that I waited and didn't, put it in my PS5 at launch and it just exploded.
I remember seeing the low end specs of the last gen and just how horrible it played.
Unplayable. Yeah.
That's so funny. Everyone's gonna hate me for this, but I've never been I couldn't get into The Witcher 3 or Cyberpunk. I don't know why CD Projekt Red games just don't speak to me, I guess. I tried twice to play Cyberpunk, and the first time it was at launch, and I didn't give up because it was glitched. I just couldn't get into it for some reason. I don't know. I think it was because I was walking down the street and everyone just started shooting at me, and I was like, "What did I do?" And so I just kept getting attacked. I'm I don't know what's happening, and I don't want to do this. But I'm sure it's great, and I've heard nothing but great things. But for some reason, it just didn't speak to me, and I couldn't. But I'm happy it's one of your favorites of all time. But. Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
That's awesome.
All right. In the interest of time, we could talk about these games forever. We love these games. But in the interest of time, let's go ahead and keep it moving here. So at number 5, next we have Sean Mason.
All right, my number 5 game of all time is Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. This game, oh my gosh, I adore this game so much so that I put 245 hours across the PlayStation version and the Xbox version, going for the platinum and going for the all the achievements. And
Wow.
it was so difficult, but at the same time so satisfying. The playing the levels is fine. Like anyone can really not. I'm not saying anyone, but most people, most average gamers can get through the base game. But going for all the like everything, basically every trophy, every achievement is ridiculous. You have to replay the levels so many times. You have to beat them without dying, getting everything without dying. This is by far the most difficult Crash Bandicoot game. I grew up with the Crash, the original Crash trilogy. I even like the bad Crash games that everyone says are bad. I do like them, but Crash 4 was like insane. I remember it came out in October. It was that COVID school year where I was teaching, where kids were hybrid, but I remember coming in every day to work, and this kid would come in, and I had him first period, but the way it worked was they had to come like right to first period, and he would get there right at 7 a.m. and class didn't start till like 7:40, and he would sit there, and I'm like, hey, I'm playing this Crash Bandicoot game. He's like, you're playing that too? And I would come in and be like, yeah, and I showed him like a screenshot when I got the platinum on my phone. He like couldn't believe, he thought I was like the greatest thing ever. I adore this game. The level design is by far the best of any Crash game, and I think it's right up there with one of the greatest platformers of all time. Yeah, and shout out to Toys for Bob. They're going independent now. This was a fantastic game by them. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what they make next, because they knocked this game out of the park.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, I haven't played really much Crash, so I don't have much to add. But I do just want to say, shout out to Microsoft and shout out to Xbox for letting Toys for Bob go free. I thought that's actually really cool, because they could have shut down the studio. I think they probably were considering shutting down the studio. But instead of doing that, they let them go free so that they can just make whatever they want and still partner with Xbox. And I just think that's smart, and I think that's really good, and we're going to get some good games as a result. That's a better alternative. I don't know why more companies don't do that. Like, instead of shutting the studio, if they can, fund themselves, why not set them free,
Yeah.
Does anyone have anything to say about Crash before we move on quickly?
No, sorry.
No, you go, Lock.
No. I was just gonna compliment you on your story with the little kid. That's awesome. That's heartwarming. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All I was gonna say was I liked the third. I have platformers I liked more as a kid, but I did love the original 3. I still haven't played this one, and I need to get around to it.
So it's so good. And before we move on, one last thing. This is how much of a Crash fan I was when I was a kid. You know when you get your first email as a kid, and it was like some like crazy email, like weird thing? My email was Neocortex, like the villain from Crash, Neocortex72 at Verizon.net. I'll never forget that. Yep, that was my email.
First was
I was such a weird kid.
Yeah, mine was Steve Rocks 11. I rock. But yeah.
That's awesome. I don't even remember mine. All right. So number 5, let's go ahead and keep it moving here. We have Hodge. Talk to us.
My number 5 favorite game of all time is the original God of War. Not 28. I do love 2018, but the original God of War is by far my favorite God of War game and one of my favorites of all time. So I'm one of those people. Actually, another one of my games on my list will have this kind of same feeling too, of I love original games when they're kind of their own set little stories. They're not because I don't like when sequels expand to the point where they add all of this lore, just make it so convoluted and confusing. The original God of War was just this awesome revenge tale about being tricked by the God of War into being his puppet and then ending up slaughtering your own family in your blind rage like that. And him just being like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna kill the God of War because of what he did to me. And that story is just so cool. I understand people are like, oh, I hate Rage Kratos, he's evil, and 2018 Kratos is better because he's calm. I'm like, yeah, I get it, it's character development and whatnot, but Kratos in that game is just so awesome. He just goes through like, fuck you, I'm gonna kill you all, like get out of my way. And the gameplay was so revolutionary at the time, just being this this action adventure combat game. The QTEs I can live without. I can always live without those in games, but that game, its story was so awesome, just this sweet tale of revenge, and I was obsessed with it. I played it over and over. I bought a PS3 just to play God of War 3 when it came out. Like, that's what sold me that console, because I had no interest in it. I was a 360 guy, but I bought it just for God of War 3. And yeah, the original, like I said, it was by far my favorite. I still love that game. I've played it a few times. Like, I replayed it leading up to God of War. I replayed just that one leading up to Ragnarok, even though I should actually, no, I played 2018 also. I played those two. I skipped 2 and 3. But yeah, I love that game. Love it.
Cool.
Yeah. I've never played the original God of War games. My first God of War game was 2018, and I played Ragnarok. I like them a lot. We owned all of them as a kid because my dad like loved God of War, and I just like didn't have an interest in playing them. Like, I don't know why, I just didn't. But I remember like watching my dad play them like a little bit here and there. But yeah, never played them.
You might get a chance soon, because there's a rumor they're remaking them or remastering them. They're doing something with them at least.
Hell yeah.
So you might get your chance. Cool.
Yeah. And shout out to Jaffe for it, because he made another one of my favorites as a kid, which isn't on my list, but Twisted Metal, because I loved those games as a kid. And I was debating, even though he wasn't involved in 3, that was the one I played the most, just because as a kid, you're kind of played the games that you're given. And so 3 was the one that I had as a kid, but I also loved 1 and 2. But yeah, those didn't make my list. But yeah, shout out to him for making one of my favorite games of all time. But yeah.
Is he like a hero to you? Like, do you like worship him, or is he? How do you when you see him on like LSM? What do you think? Is he?
I think he's
like
entertaining. I not to get political, obviously, but I don't agree with his politics a lot.
Of course,
much.
Yeah.
But I love him. He's a character.
Yeah,
I can't hate a guy who gave me one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah,
so.
he's awesome. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I've never obviously spoken to him or anything, but yeah, he made God of War, and I adore this game. So
God, that's so cool.
Yeah.
See, games close political opponents.
Oh yeah. Well, I always joke with people. I'm like, I was alive in 2015 before you hated someone for disagreeing with you politically. You could be friends with people you disagree with politically back then.
That's true.
Those were simpler times.
Yeah.
Locke, did you have anything else you wanted to say about God of War before?
No, I love it too. I think that's a great choice. I wish I put it on my list. That's awesome. I love God of War. Just like you, I like the first one more than 2018. I thought it was more original when 2018 got a little advantage because it got all the weight from the previous games. So that's easier to make like a big story out of it. But the first one was so special. Like you said, like a contained story. Really well done. Really well done.
One quick thing about 2018, though, is it has the better soundtrack, because 2018 soundtrack is unbelievable. And with you not, Sean, with you not playing the originals, like obviously it's still an amazing game, but in 2018 there's a moment, I don't even want to spoil it, where you find something, and when after playing the originals, when that moment is so meaningful, there was like a tear in my eye when that moment happened, because it was so impactful. But the original is my favorite still.
All right. I would say, for me, I also didn't play the original God of War. I didn't play any of the 3 originals, really. I tried 3 briefly, but didn't stick with it. I played 2018, and I did like it a lot. Funny enough, I bought Ragnarok, and then I never played it, because I bought it mainly for the person I was game sharing with, because I knew he wanted to play it. But I also planned on getting to it. But then I heard that the 2 things that I really disliked the most about 2018, the long length of the linear story segments and the puzzles, I heard both of those were greatly increased in Ragnarok, and I was just like, I don't think I even want to play this right now, so I haven't played Ragnarok yet.
Andy plays Atreus, which I don't find fun.
Yeah. I happen to love Ragnarok a lot. I like Atreus a lot. Just putting that out there. All right.
I liked the game. I just didn't like playing as Atreus as much as Kratos.
All right. Well, shout out to Atreus. Lockmort, what was your number 5? I think is where we're at.
My number 5 is Left 4 Dead 2. When I was making this list, I was checking my Steam hours to see how many hours I have in certain games. And I have 1.6k hours into Left 4 Dead 2. I don't know how or when, but I've played it so much over the years that I put that many hours into it. I do know how and when, actually, because I played it a lot when I was unemployed a couple of years ago, and me and my friends were that was all we played. Left 4 Dead 2 is so interesting because it came before every game had like a ranking system or ladders or whatever. It's just the same game over and over and over again. But it's so much fun because you play it with 8 people. You have 4 people who play as the survivors, and then you've got 4 people who play as the zombies. And then halfway through every match, you just switch the map around, and then you play as the survivors, and they play as the zombies. And at the end, the one with the most points wins. But it's just so much fun because it's basically a talk game. That's how I call it, because you just talk with your friends while you're playing. Like we were winning a lot, but we weren't really try hard, so we just played and then we talked, and it was it was amazing. The graphics are of course pretty dated by now, but it uses the Source engine, so it still looks pretty cool. Everything is interactable, which is really fun. The trick was to just turn the music down so you didn't get startled by the scary sounds that the zombies make. And it still has the best horde mode I've ever seen in a game. The only game that ever came close was Days Gone to me. Every other game that tried to do zombies, especially the spiritual sequel, Back for Blood, was awful to me. But Left 4 Dead 2 is just, that was an incredible shame. But Left 4 Dead 2 was just so much fun. I could play it for hours, and I did. I played it for hours and hours and hours with just the time ticking away without ever noticing you're putting that many hours into it, which is the sign of a very special game. I wish they would just remake it somehow or remaster it, even though it doesn't really need to, at least not on PC. But it would be really cool to see it on PlayStation. I don't think it's on PlayStation at all, actually.
No, it's an Xbox exclusive, I remember.
Yeah. But I only played it on PC, but yeah, it would be cool to see it on PlayStation, which will never happen, I guess. But that would be cool.
Yeah. I love that way you describe it, like a friend game, because that's how I feel with like Helldivers now.
Yeah.
It's just a game where you hop in with your friends and it's not even really about the game itself. You're just hanging out with your buddies, just shooting shit. And
yeah, exactly.
I love it for that. Yeah.
All
It's such a
right.
shame. Back for Blood though was like liked it, but I fell off so fast.
Everyone did.
Yeah.
They marketed it so they just had so many stupid decisions in Back 4 Blood. Like the hordes didn't make sense. Like when you killed the zombies, they would fall through the ground instead of laying there like they did in Left 4 Dead 2. So many weird decisions. Just that, what a waste. What a waste.
Yeah.
That feels really primitive there. Sean, did you have anything on Left 4 Dead you wanted to?
Never played it. Never even seen a gameplay clip of it.
Really?
I played it
Yeah.
a little bit, but not a lot. It was fun though when you would like control like the special types of zombies and like try to take people out. That was fun.
Yeah.
All right, let's go and move on to our number 4 games then. Number 4 for me, this is going to be the second appearance for BioWare on my list. BioWare is one of my favorite studios. Dragon Age Dreadwolf is coming rumored this year, and I can't wait for that, and I hope that they don't fumble the ball. Hope it's good. But Dragon Age Origins is going to be my number 4 pick. This game is phenomenal. This game is kind of like Baldur's Gate 3 before there was Baldur's Gate 3, kind of like an older version, but I just loved it. There was like 8 different origin stories. And, I played all of them. Like, that's what I did. I started out, they're like 1 to 2 hours long, the origin stories. I did all 8 of them. And then I decided which character I liked the most, and that's the one I went and proceeded and beat the game with. It's just so good. They're all so good. The characters are awesome. Morrigan, such an awesome character. The little evil witch girl, that's great. All of the characters were great. There was Liliana. Just such an awesome game. I really liked how they did the overworld in that game too, because it was kind of older. It wasn't a big open world. You would select where you want to go, and it would be kind of like you would see like your party progressing, and occasionally you would get stopped. It'd be like, oh, you got run up on by some thieves or some bandits or something, and then it would throw you into like a little area, and you'd have to fight or talk to these people that stopped you, and then you would proceed along to your next place. And it was just such a great game. Great choice and consequence. Great storytelling. Shout out BioWare. Shout out Dragon Age Origins. I love all the Dragon Age games, but Origins is definitely the best one by far. What do you guys think? You guys have any thoughts about Dragon Age Origins? Anyone?
I love it. I did the same thing you did. I played every character, every origin, then decided which one I like best, and then I played through it with that one. The story in that game is amazing. It's a story that doesn't really get done anymore, not even in Baldur's Gate 3. Because Baldur's Gate 3 had like a great story, but I wouldn't consider it like epic. While Dragon Age Origins had like an epic story. Like you really felt like the hero in some Lord of the Rings grand tale, which doesn't really happen anymore. And the choices in that game were insane. Like you could make some really hard choices that had like huge consequences up until the third game, even because they carried over. So yeah, I love Dragon Age Origins, dude. They should definitely make like a remake or like a remaster or like a Dragon Age Origins remaster, like they did for Mass Effect. Man, that would be amazing.
Yeah, like the choice is like the choice that Morrigan gives you towards the very end of the game.
Yeah,
that's a dark, deep choice. Which by the way, I really wanted to do it, but I didn't do it. I was like, this is kind of evil. I'm not going to do it.
Did you see what? Well, did you see what happens in the third game if you do it?
No.
Oh,
no,
I'll send it to you after. It's cool.
Okay, do that. Sean and Hodge, did any of you guys play this?
My only history with BioWare, the only BioWare game I've ever played is KOTOR, and I played it last year. That was the first. I have not played Mass Effect. I have not played any Dragon Age games. I know. I was too busy playing other things. I do plan on getting to these. Origins does sound cool, so I'll play it. I'll play it for you. Both of you.
You will love Origins because you liked Baldur's Gate. This is literally older Baldur's Gate. Like it's so good.
Okay.
It does show its age. Understand that it's older and the combat's a little janky, but it's the story and the characters and the choices are just phenomenal.
I would even say it's better than Baldur's Gate 3. It's
Okay.
I might agree with that. But Hodge, did you play it?
I have not. It takes a lot for me to get into a fantasy setting game. I don't know why. Like I love Lord of the Rings, but for some reason fantasy, like I've never played Skyrim. We've talked about that before. I've never played the Dragon Age games. I haven't played obviously Baldur's Gate 3. Like it takes a lot for it to get into me. I mean, hearing that it's that good, I think I do own it. I want to say it was a game with gold or something at some point. I think I own it, but I might have to give it a shot sometime. But I've played. This is a gaming sin of mine. I haven't beaten the Mass Effect trilogy. I played the first one and about half of the second one, but I didn't fall off it because I didn't like it. I fell off it because I got really busy in my life, and so I just couldn't get back to it. And it's such a long game, I knew I'd have to just start it over. So I had to put it on the back burner so I forgot everything so I could go back to it, because going back to a game after a couple months and trying to pick up the controller again, you're like, So I knew I had to restart it for Mass Effect, but with Dragon Age Origins, I might have to give that one a shot eventually, because you guys are making it sound pretty damn good. So
Dude, this is unbelievable. Like you guys are making me question my choice of co-host here. I'm like, you guys haven't played Skyrim, you guys haven't played BioWare games. It's like, what's going on here? Like this is egregious. This is
me and Sean are going to
not fair.
Me and Sean are going to start our own podcast called Everything Good Happens After Midnight.
No, please don't do that, because then nobody would pay attention to my podcast, because you guys are the real stars here.
I'm just proud of that name I just came up with on the spot, but
good. All right, good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Let's move on here. So number 4. Next we have Sean.
All right, my number 4 is a game from last year. It's Octopath Traveler 2. This game blew me away. I really enjoyed the first Octopath Traveler. It did have its shortcomings. Like the story was a little, like the main story was great, but the characters, like it was kind of just like a party of 8 characters just traveling around, just to travel around. Like they didn't interact at all. This game fixes all of that. They actually have meaningful side quests in this game that actually develop the characters and you learn more about them. All 8 of the characters have phenomenal stories. Like I love Throne. She's a thief, and her backstory is so tragic. Basically, and the commentary that it does on like issues that have happened in the world, like they make commentaries like basically like sex trafficking, and that was her like backstory. She was basically thrown into like a slavery ring, and it was about like sex trafficking. And then there's like this Particio who's just a traveling merchant, and his story is so much more upbeat. Like, yeah, I can do this. I'm gonna make something of myself. I'm gonna go from the little guy to the big guy. I'm gonna make it in life. And then you have your your normal like warrior Hikari, who's just like a classic, just like warrior class, and he's like, oh, I'm fighting for my kingdom. I'm gonna reclaim my kingdom, because it was very Lion King, where like the guy gets the king gets assassinated, and then like he gets like kind of like thrown off, and he comes back and trying to save the kingdom. All the characters were awesome, and the final boss fight that kind of just wraps everything up. It's an optional boss, but it is one of the most difficult boss fights that I've ever encountered in a game. It took me like 2.5 hours to beat this boss, and it is overall, it's awesome. A lot of cool, it's like classic turn-based combat too, but they throw a little spin on it where you can break an enemy's like defense by like, you know, attacking their weakness with like, you know, if they're weak to like daggers, if you use a dagger and it breaks it, their defense lowers it. Overall, the game's really good, and if you like the first one, I highly suggest this. The story is just, oh my god, it was so good. I adored it every second I put into it. I played it on Steam and PlayStation, and I cannot wait for it to come to Xbox. I'm gonna play it again.
Okay, we're back. We had a little technical difficulties. We were talking about Octopath Traveler 2. Hodge, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I was just saying that I was never able to really get into the first one because I don't know, the gameplay for some reason just didn't land with me. But the one thing I've never ever been able to shit talk Octopath for is the art style. I absolutely adore the look of that game. It is beautiful, which is the reason why I tried it in the first place, because when the first one came out, there was a demo on Switch, and that's how I played it, and that's just how I knew I wasn't really that into it. But it's a beautiful game, so if it's your type of gameplay, that's definitely a great choice.
All right. Yeah, I haven't played it yet. It's on my list. I do want to get to it. I think it looks cool, so I don't really have much to add on that. Are we satisfied with Octopath? Everyone?
Yeah.
I do have one.
Sorry. You
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's weird that the first one was like Xbox and Switch, and the second one was just Switch and PlayStation. That's weird, but yeah, that's what I'd say.
I do have one quick question. Do the characters come together at the end? Because I know people. Okay, they
yes,
do.
They do.
Nice.
Yeah, they do.
And is it satisfying? Is it a good ending?
Very satisfying.
Okay.
Very satisfying. And the worst part was that they got rid of. I know, like the Octopath Traveler developer just kind of went independent as well from Square. And it's kind of upsetting because they were building like kind of like a lore connecting, because these are like two different worlds, the first game and the second game, and they were kind of connecting them, doing that last boss. And now it's kind of like I wish they could continue building that. So who knows?
Cool.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to number 4. A little bit of echo again. Okay. Number 4 next is Hodge. What is yours, sir?
My number 4 is Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. I'd never thought really that I'd put a Call of Duty on any list of like my favorites of all time, but this one, when in 2007 is what I think it came out, right? I was working I was in high school, and I was working a job, and I saved up all my money for a 360, and this was the first game I bought along with Halo 3. And going home, and this game, because I really liked Call of Duty 3, I'd play that with my friends all the time, but this one was just the campaign was actually fucking awesome. Like, that's usually not a thing in first person shooters. Like, they're just kind of okay, then they get you to the multiplayer, but this campaign was so good, and then on top of it, the multiplayer was so addicting. Like, I still don't think I don't like Call of Duty that much anymore. I hate that every loadout has like all these million things you can attach to it. I liked that this one was, you get camo for kills, you get camo for headshots, and then once you do it with all the guns, you get the golden gun. It was such an easy progression system, not easy in terms of skill, easy in terms of like understanding it, following it. And it's the only Call of Duty I've prestige to the 55 gold cross, which for the most time is my profile picture on Discord is that gold cross. Nice. And this one I put, I think 20 days of playtime, which when you're in high school, that's, it's just your weekends basically. So that's how much I obsessively played this game. And every Call of Duty, I mean, I play World at War a lot because of zombies, obviously. But then Modern Warfare 2 came out, Black Ops came out, Modern Warfare 3, all those came out. But every time me and my friends would get bored and go back to 4 because 4 was just peak for me. I know a lot of people say Modern Warfare 2 is their favorite, but 4 will always be my favorite Call of Duty, and I love it. But yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, thoughts on 4, anyone?
I've only played the campaign, never played the multiplayer.
Oh my gosh. I bought Infinite Warfare just to get the remaster of Call of Duty 4. And then, of course, they released it on its own later. But that's the only reason I bought Infinite Warfare, because I was that obsessed with this game. I played it just to play remastered.
Well, that's why they bundled it in, because there was very little excitement for Infinite Warfare because people were sick of the jetpacks. But so they bundled in 4 as like a Trojan horse to get everyone to buy it.
I fucking hated that game. I laughed at the end when it was supposed to be emotional, and I hated it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very awkward. Yeah.
Yeah. Locke, do you have thoughts on Call of Duty 4?
Yeah, something? Great pick. I love that game too. I love every single Call of Duty until Infinite Warfare. So that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. For me, I played the hell out of that game too. I love Call of Duty 4. I was really big on Halo 3 back in the day, and then we all switched over. Me and all my friends, we all switched over to Call of Duty 4. We barely played Halo again after that.
That was the rivalry at the time.
Yeah, we really loved how simple it was, and it only took a couple bullets to kill people. Unlike in Halo, where you got to hit, you got to be accurate, you got to actually hit your shots in that. But it was just really fun getting your streaks, calling in helicopters, great maps, great guns, the simplicity. Nowadays, Call of Duty, like Hodge mentioned, like when you go to create a class or whatever, and you pull the weapons, there's like 100 attachments. It's ridiculous. It's insane. But yeah, Call of Duty 4 is a fantastic pick, I think.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move on, I guess, to Locke. What was your number 4?
My number 4 is Oblivion. I love every single Bethesda game. Well, maybe one of them a little bit less, but Oblivion is definitely my favorite one because Oblivion was the first modern one. I think, well, the case can be made that Morrowind was the first modern one on the OG Xbox, but Oblivion, that launched on the Xbox 360 and was the reason I bought a 360, is because it had like a seamless open world, and once you get out of the sewer, you can basically do anything, go anywhere, do any quest, become who you want to be. That's not really true, of course, but everything in that game was so wonderful to me. Like even the combat, which is so janky and so unresponsive, really, but the magic system in that game was insane. Like you could craft your own spells and make like some really completely wacky configurations of your own that would kill people. The guild quests in that game are amazing. Some of the best quests I've ever played in any game to date. It also was so cool that they had an arena where you could like fight and become the champion, and then you would get the adoring fan that would make his return in Starfield. And Oblivion is also the reason why I wasn't completely in love with Starfield, because when they made those developer interviews, Todd Howard said that Starfield was going to be more like Oblivion, and it really wasn't, or at least not to me, because Oblivion signifies to me like open world exploration, which is the one thing I was sorely missing from Starfield. But then I went back to Oblivion a couple of months ago, and it just brought me back to remembering how great these games are. Oblivion and Skyrim both. I was considering putting Skyrim there, but they're pretty much the same to me. I love those games. I can't wait for the remake if that rumor is true. I hope it's true.
Same. Hodge, Oblivion thoughts? Any?
I don't have too much experience with it. It was a game I did play and I enjoyed it for a while, but it takes a lot for me to get into a fantasy game, so it's one I kind of ended up falling off of. But it's definitely not because of the quality of it or anything, because I know how huge that game was. Because wasn't that one of an exclusive?
Yeah, for a while.
Because I remember I had a lot of friends who were really into it, and I enjoyed it for a bit, but it was one that I ended up falling off of after a while. But it's I understand why people love it for what it is.
Nice, yeah.
How about you, Sean?
I've never played any of the Elder Scrolls games. My first delve into Bethesda was Fallout, and then but I do want to go back and play them. So I'm hoping that remake rumor is true, because I would love to go back and play Oblivion. Obviously, I still need to play Skyrim, and I can play it anywhere I want.
You've on your fridge.
You've never played Skyrim?
No, never.
Neither has Hodge.
All right, we can make a deal right now. Hodge, I don't know what games you prefer. I guess Halo. Maybe you're like a Halo guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you play Skyrim sometime this year, let's say you put in 50 hours, then I will play Halo 1, 2, and 3. And Sean, you can pick any weebery game, and I'll play it. I'll play it if you play Skyrim this year. 50 hours. That's all I ask.
Deal,
Yeah?
I'll play Skyrim. Yeah.
All right,
I'll
deal.
play. My one memory I have of Skyrim is my sister. She was a freshman in college when it came out, and I remember I went and visited her, and her roommate was playing it, and she was playing it on PS3 though, and she ran into some huge bug, and it like completely just destroyed the game. That's all I remember from Skyrim.
Yeah, on PS3, it got so bad. Like the game was not optimized for PS3. So I remember I played that game for hundreds of hours on PS3, but my save game got so big that the game couldn't run anymore because the save game was just too big. So I had to switch over to PC back then and start over. Yeah.
And part of this deal, Midnight has to play Final Fantasy VII. So
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what I was just thinking. Like, that's why I was kind of rubbing my hands together, because a thought went into my head. We could maybe regroup later this year and have like a special episode, the four of us, to discuss what their thoughts of Skyrim were, what your thoughts of the Weebery and Halo was, and I'll play whatever maybe the Weeb game too, and we can all just talk about those games as a special ep. Maybe that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Good idea.
I agree. So yeah, we'll get these games played and we'll regroup on that. I like it. Let me give some thoughts about Oblivion real quick. Oblivion, I did play it. I beat it on the 360. Love Todd Howard. Love BGS, Bethesda Game Studios. This was my first Elder Scrolls game. I didn't really play Morrowind. I don't think I've never really played Morrowind. That's something I need to do one of these days. They should remake that. Yeah, honestly, because it's so dated. But Oblivion was fantastic. The open world, for the time, it was revolutionary. They were using AI. They were using AI for the NPCs back then. Like, the NPCs would be smart and like would say stuff based on what you've done and what was going on. And it was kind of primitive. It's not up to today's standard, but for the time, it was outstanding. And that game was great. I love Bethesda. That's a fantastic choice, Lock. Let me go ahead and transition into my number 3 now. Let's move on to number 3. And this is adjacent, because my number 3 is The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Nice. The most epic music when you start that game, and they got the orchestra going, and it's like, I can't say it off the top of my head. I don't remember, but I used to let that play. Before I would start the game, I would literally let it play for a couple minutes and just vibe out to that song. It's so good. Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, Todd Howard, based, shout out. Starfield, I'm sure, is the game that you were referring to, was the one that you didn't love as much, and I feel the same way. The issue with Starfield was it's just too freaking big. Like, you need that one world, cohesive, one continent. That's where they really excel. When you're breaking up the content with a million loading screens, and when there's a bunch of planets, so you literally can't make every planet interesting. It's just not possible unless you're spending 50 years on development. It's not the same experience as Skyrim and Oblivion. Skyrim is just like, oh, look at that. What's that cave over there? I'm gonna go find out. Walk over to that cave. There's a quick loading screen, and you're in the cave. All of a sudden, you're fighting big spiders. You're fighting bandits. You're finding a cool sword at the end of the cave, and it's just phenomenal. The story is great. The factions are some of the best part in Bethesda games. Always the factions. You got the Dark Brotherhood, murdering people. You got the Thieves Guild, breaking in and robbing people. You got the Fighters, or whatever they were called, and it's so good. I love Skyrim. I can't wait for Hodge and Sean to finally play it. Great job, Locke, bringing justice to the world, making these guys play the greatness. But yeah, that's it. I could talk forever. Skyrim. You guys got any thoughts on that? Obviously, two of you don't. Locke, what do you got to say about Skyrim?
Yeah, I love it. Like I said, I was debating either Oblivion or Skyrim. They're the same to me. The Skyrim is amazing. It's insane that we haven't gotten a new Elder Scrolls since then, which is completely nuts. I will say the one thing, what you said, I can add to it, because what made Starfield less to me is that in Skyrim, I remember very vividly being on one side of the map and like going on horseback, going to the other side, and meeting characters that you've already met that were just traveling on the road, or that you banned from some kind of camp, and then they were returning, or some Civil War scenario. And that's completely missing in Starfield, because like you said, you're confined to these little planets, little rooms. And that's what's typically Bethesda to me. Like those little moments where you meet your choices from like 50 hours ago and they're just there in the open world, or you can shoot like an arrow in a sign and come back 100 hours later and it's still there. Those are really important moments to me, and Skyrim excels in that.
Yeah,
I do have one thing to say about Skyrim, though. It's just a little funny anecdote. When I was in college when it came out, because it's 2011, right?
Yeah,
2011 is when it came out. Yeah, I was in college, and obviously at the time I was 20 or 21, and there was a bunch of parties going on, and I tried getting my two cousins actually, and their buddy, they all room together to try and go out. And I walk in and they have 3 TVs set up next to each other and they're all playing Skyrim. Like, we're not going out, Skyrim's out. And they're playing it. I was just like, you fucking nerds. Even though, of course, out of the 4, I'm actually the nerdiest of all of them. But it was just so funny. I wanted to go out and party, and speaking of which, my one cousin, he's very angry that I didn't include Ocarina of Time on my list. So I just want to give him a shout out. That's his favorite game of all time. But yeah, I always think of that when I think of Skyrim, is them refusing to go out and drink with me because they all were playing Skyrim next to
That's
each other
awesome.
in the same room.
All right. I wanted to go a little bit deeper and mention Starfield, but we're up against a clock here because Sean has stuff to do. So let's go ahead and move on. We have number 3 is going to be Sean.
All right, my number 3 is The Legend of Heroes: Trails to Azure. Another very weeb game. This game is phenomenal. I adore the Legend of Heroes Trails of series. There's so many games, and you have to play them all. If you play one individually, you can kind of get a good story, but you have to play them all. There's so much continuity between all the games, and this is the final game in the Crossbell arc, the Crossbell duology, as people like to call it, and what it does to like your main cast of characters, which is Lloyd, Randy, Ellie, and Tio. It just elevates it. Like the first game in the Crossbell arc was Trails to Zero, and that was it had more of a light. I mean, there were some like dark elements, but that was more of a lighthearted story. This took it to the next level, and it got dark really fast. And you're dealing with death and crime, and just it explores more in depth with characters. Like shout out to Risha, who is like one of the best characters in the whole Legend of Trails Love series. I'm blown away by this game. If you're like, obviously it takes a lot, because you have to play like 4 other games before you get to this game, but the payoff from playing game to game is awesome. And I think the combat, this is where they started to really nail the combat in Trails to Azure, and you can still see the influence the combat has had on the future Trails games later on. And shout out, Trails Through Daybreak is coming out, which is like a game that's like probably like 5 games later in the series, but I cannot wait. It's coming out later this year, so I'm really excited. It's a classic JRPG, very very weebery, very anime influenced. I can't wait. And I remember last year at PAX East, like gushing about it with Never. Shout out to Never and Maddie. I was gushing about it with them, and it was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right. There you go. Hodge.
I don't know anything about this game, so I have nothing to add to it. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, that's the same for me as well. I haven't played any of the Trail. What is it? Is it Trails?
It's called Legend of Heroes, but then there's like Trails is like the subsection. So it's like Trails of Cold Steel, Trails in the Sky, Trails from Zero, that duology, and then there's Trails Through Daybreak. Yeah.
Okay. I haven't played any of those games. I did actually go on just the other day. I went on PlayStation Store and I added like almost every single one of them to my watch list, so that if it goes on sale and it's a good sale, maybe I'll pick them up, because we all know Maddie, Mr. Maddie Plays and Retro Rebound. We're all fans of Maddie. Locke does editing. So shout out to Maddie. If he ever listens to this, he probably won't, but he goes on and on about these games, about how great they are, and I respect him. He's got great opinions. He sold me a little bit on them. It's a huge commitment. Sean, I see you wanting to come in here. Go ahead.
The problem is to get the full story, you have to play Trails in the Sky, which is not available on PlayStation. So you have to play it either on PSP or on Japanese Vita or on Steam.
Is there any plans for them to remaster it or bring it over? Have you heard?
They talked about the the development team, Neon Falcom, talked about potentially a remaster of a beloved IP, they said. So that was like in a recent tweet. So who knows? I'm hoping it does, because Trails in the Sky is awesome, and it's a lot of people think you can just jump in at Cold Steel. Like, you can't. You can't do that.
Well, one of these days, I might actually, get those games and get going. It's a huge commitment. Was it like 7-8 games, and they're long? So we're talking about probably 300-400 hour commitment or something here for all these games.
It's worth it. I'm telling you, it's worth it.
We'll see. Lockmort, we know that you are a big fan of weebery. You got anything to say about the Trails of series?
The only thing I have to say about it is that it's one of Maddie's favorite franchises. He loves the game you just mentioned. Azure, was it? I guess, yeah. Yeah, I think that's his favorite one, or close to his favorite one. The only thing I vividly remember about Trails in the Sky or Trails of Heroes or whatever, the first two, I remember editing those for Retro Rebound, and apparently I made a mistake and put a spoiler from 2 in my edit of 1, and people got really pissed off at me. Yeah,
I remember that.
But I didn't even do it on purpose. I should have, but it was an accident.
He said I should have. That's funny. So I remember, Locke, you sent me like that little edit that you did where Maddie was rambling for like 40 seconds about like it's the Orient and this and that, and like literally I have no clue what the hell he's talking about. It's just this random high fantasy stuff. And then you brought on like that little interview where it's like, bruh, what are you talking about? That was hilarious.
That's so funny.
But they are apparently really great. Like, Maddie loves them. If I ever have time, I really want to play them, because just like you, Sean, he says they're amazing and the payoff is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I want to get to him too. Let's keep it moving, gentlemen, here. So we have number 3, Hodge. What's up, man?
So my top 3 is, I could have put these in any order, but I just kind of landed on what I had to land on with them. But these are 3 of my favorite games of all time. But number 3, I have Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage for PlayStation 1. All 3 games I played religiously as a kid. Like I was saying earlier with Crash Bandicoot, I wasn't as into it. Spyro was the one I was super into. And as we were saying with Toys for Bob going indie, I'd hope that they could make Spyro 4, because if they apparently that Crash 4 was so good that I'm like, please do that same with Spyro, because the Reignited trilogy I loved. I actually just platinumed it on PlayStation last year, and I beat it on Xbox when it came out. I've played these games over and over, but everyone who's played the original Spyro games knows that 2 is the best one. It's so fun. It's what got me into platformers and adventure games like that. I love playing it. Just all the different worlds. I've listened to the soundtrack even occasionally. It's just goofy little kind of cartoony upbeat music. But yeah, I could go on forever about the game, but this one is the one that's the best. The first one's good. The third one's all right. When you play as the other characters, I don't care as much, but Spyro 2 is one of the best platformers I think that's ever been made, and one of my favorite games of all time.
Nice.
Shout out to Hunter.
Yeah, Hunter, the surfer bro cheetah.
Right on. Sean or Locke, do you guys have anything you want to say about that pick?
Very similar to Hodge. I grew up with the Spyro games as well. I was more into the Crash. My sister was more into the Spyro. She has put so many hours into that Reignited trilogy. It's ridiculous how many times she's played it, and she's 100%ed it, and she can speed run the game, and it's ridiculous. But I agree with you. 2 is definitely the peak of the franchise.
Yeah, it's funny because I 100% it, because obviously it was like trophy hunting and achievement hunting. But as a kid, it was one of those games where you 100%ed it, because as a kid you couldn't buy all the games, so you just had to keep replaying your same game over and over, and that just gave you the motivation to go through, find every gem, find every dragon, go through and find every single thing, because you had to milk the game for what it was worth. And I loved doing it every single time, except there was always that one level where you couldn't find one gem and you wanted to kill yourself because you ran around the level 20 times and you couldn't find it.
All right. So for me, I never played any of the Spyro games, I don't think. I'm not a massive platformer guy. I used to be when I was a kid. I enjoyed Mario and stuff, but as I've gotten older, my tastes have shifted into more 3D style, RPG type stuff. So I don't play a lot of platformers. Locke, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to you to give your thoughts on Spyro, and then after you're done with Spyro, you are up next. So if you want to give us your number 3.
Sure. Well, Spyro I can keep really short because I've never played it, but it looks really cool. I'm also not really into platformers, or I wasn't until I played a couple in the past few years. But it looks really cool. I really want to give it a chance. It did get a remaster, I think, or a remake last year,
Yeah,
or
the
2 years ago.
Reignited trilogy. Yeah.
Is that worth it? I'll buy it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you can usually find it for like $5 at this point. It's
Okay.
really you can find it nice and cheap. Yeah, it's
Cool.
on
Well,
sale every time there's like a Black Friday sale and stuff. It's always on sale. Every sale on those systems.
Cool.
And probably Steam. Obviously, they have their sales every day, pretty much.
Oh, it's on Steam. Oh, then I'll buy it right after this. That's cool. Okay.
I'm pretty sure it is. I don't know why it wouldn't be.
I think
Okay.
it is, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I'll buy it and I'll try it. That sounds. You guys make it sound really awesome. So I'll
they're
definitely
so
try it.
Yeah.
My number 3 game. I'm gonna keep this really short. Is The Witcher 3. Why? Because it's one of the best games ever made. Sorry, Hodge. It's the open world in the open world in The Witcher 3 is so incredibly special because every single character you meet has something special about them, is interesting in a way. Not everything you see is the way it is. Every quest has a story. Every combat scenario really requires a bit of thought, at least on the hardest difficulty on Death March. The easier difficulties are very easy, but the highest difficulty is such a fun game. The story in The Witcher 3 is beyond amazing. I played Witcher 1 and Witcher 2 as well. I read the books. The show didn't exist back then, so I couldn't have watched it back then, but I watched it afterwards. The first Witcher game and the second Witcher game were groundbreaking. The first one was only on PC. Very dated by now, which is why we're getting the remake, but the story is what grabbed me in the first one. The second game was on Xbox, really interesting too. One of the only games on any platform where in the second chapter you make a choice and it basically deviates the entire game, so it splits into two, and the second half is completely different if you pick the other choice. And that's another reason why The Witcher 3 is so amazing. The choices, the choices and the consequences are amazing.
Right on. That's a great pick. Sean, did you play that?
I've not played Witcher 3. I've tried it a few times, but every single time I've tried it, something's come up in like my real life where I have to I can't commit that much time to like a story intense game like that. I have read the Witcher books though, and I did watch the series. I love the book. I absolutely adore the books.
Nice.
So I do want to get to it. I am planning on getting to it. Just every single time, like I said, when I tried to play it, something came up.
What about you, Hodge?
I watched the first season of the show. I heard it kind of went downhill after that, though.
That's enough. Yeah, first season is enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Book.
Okay.
But yeah, the game I tried playing it twice, and it didn't grab me. I'm sure it's one of those where if I push past that wall of like it's not grabbing me, it would eventually grab me. It's another one, like I said, I don't have that much time for every game. So when they're huge, it's just, I'm like, if it doesn't grab me, I'm like, I just have to move on. But
yeah. Right on. Yeah, for me, I'm going to give a shout out to our Australian friend, Chris. If you guys know him from Discord, he's been on me. He's been beating me up about, because I haven't beaten Witcher 3. It's one of my sins. I apologize, Locke. Don't kill me.
Well, I didn't know that. But I wouldn't have come on to this if I knew that.
Well, I'm glad we didn't tell you then. But no, he's been beating me up about this, so I have put it on my list for 2024. I plan to finally beat The Witcher 3. That's on my to-do list, so I'll have thoughts maybe later in the year to share about that. But it is a phenomenal game. I know everyone's told me that. I played it like 3 times. I've gotten like to certain points so I could beat the tutorial area and get just a little bit past that, and then I always end up dropping or falling off for some reason. But I'm definitely going to beat it. All right, let's go ahead and move on to number 2. We're at number 2, and it is my pick, and it is going to be Down, Down, Down by the River. Baldurs Gate 3. My singing is phenomenal, I know. Please don't unsubscribe. Please come back. Baldur's Gate 3 is my number 2 pick. Shout out to Larian. I just beat this game, and it's already made it into my top 10 list at number 2. So what does that tell you? You mentioned when we were talking about Dragon Age Origins, Locke, you mentioned that Dragon Age Origins might be better than Baldur's Gate 3, and I said I kind of agree with you, and I kind of do. But at the same time, I have Baldur's Gate a little bit higher. I don't think the story is nearly as good. The story is not as good. The story was, I don't want to say the story with Baldur's Gate 3 was mid, because I think that's harsh, but it wasn't super phenomenal. It was just kind of like generic RPG story. What was so great about Baldur's Gate 3 was the journey and the characters and all the little stories and all the little choices that you could make and the replayability. Like, I can't wait to play it again. Like, I want to do a Dark Urge playthrough at some point. I want to do just another playthrough where maybe I get to romance Shadowheart finally, because I went with Lae'zel the first time. Lae'zel's awesome. I love Lae'zel. She's so great. But yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 is my number 2 pick, favorite game of all time. It's so good, and I will be playing it again, please believe. I'm going to come back and do more playthroughs. I'm going to open this up here. Let's go to Locke. I know you love this game. What do you got anything to say about BG3?
I would have put it in my top 10, but when I get to my number 1, you'll understand why I didn't. Baldur's Gate 3 is amazing. It's everything I wanted it to be. I've been waiting for this game for 20 years. Because I'm a huge fan of Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. It wasn't exactly what I wanted or what other people who played the first 2 games wanted, but that's okay because it was a great game in and of itself. Like you said, the story wasn't all the greatest, but the characters were amazing. I've played through it. I'm on my 3rd playthrough now. I haven't finished it yet, though, for the first time. But the first 2 playthroughs were so incredibly different that I can't wait to try out some of the other races or some of the other classes. It's insane what they've done. Like, every class, every race matters so much that the entire game just changes according to your choices, which is unseen in today's age. So I'm really excited to finish it for the 3rd time. I can't wait. Great choice.
Yeah, I'm surprised that it was so far. Sean, Baldur's Gate 3 thoughts?
Yeah, that was I played it last December. Locke actually convinced me to play it. I was so happy that I did listen to him because this game was absolutely amazing. It blew me away last year. I only played through it once so far. I do plan on playing through it again and probably another time. I was a rogue gnome. I loved it. A little stealthy, a little sneaky, small person. I loved it. It was so much fun. Quick little anecdote. The other day I'm walking around my class. I one of my freshman classes, and I see a kid, and I look over. He's on YouTube, and I'm like, I go over there. He's watching a Baldur's Gate 3 video, and I didn't say anything. I just said, all right. I'm like, just let him be. Didn't tell him to turn it off. Just walked away.
That's
Nice.
right. Hodge?
Yeah, as I've said, but I think I said it last episode, it's just a game that I know is so long that I'm not going to ever get, or not, maybe not ever, but I'm not going to be able to get to it anytime soon, because I was hearing people be like, man, 60 hours in, just beat Act 1. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I'm not, I don't have time for that. Like, I feel like I've been grinding forever on Final Fantasy, and I'm only 38 hours, and it's just one of those games. I know, I understand, like, it's the fact that everything actually matters in that game, and that it's just like a cool D&D campaign. I know I'd probably enjoy it. It's just the length of it is the reason why I haven't been able to get to it. Maybe one day. Hopefully one day.
You just need to not work, dude. Just don't work.
Yeah.
You'll have plenty of time to play video
I'm
games.
technically not working right now, but I don't plan on
Perfect.
being unemployed that long.
Oh, right.
Hopefully not, at least.
Yeah. All right. So that was Baldur's Gate 3. That was my number 2 pick. And that brings us over to Sean. What is your number 2, sir?
All right, my number 2 is Kingdom Hearts 2, right here. Oh my gosh, Kingdom Hearts 2. This is God, I adore the Kingdom Hearts series. It's my second favorite series of all time. The story is not complicated, folks. You just have to play the games in the order that they came out in, and then watch a really long YouTube video. You'll understand it. Don't worry about it. I adore Kingdom Hearts. Like, I was a big Disney kid as a kid. Fun fact, I never went to Disney World though, but I was a huge Disney kid, just a fan of the movies and stuff. And when they were crossing with Square Final Fantasy, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like the dream come true. I absolutely fell in love with the original Kingdom Hearts, and then I remember getting Chain of Memories for on Christmas, opening it up for my Game Boy, freaking out, instantly, like, didn't want to open anything else and playing that. And then when Kingdom Hearts 2 came out, my dad brought me to 4 different Walmarts because they didn't have any of the copies, and for some reason I didn't like pre-order it. I don't know why. I was a stupid kid. He brought me to 4 different Walmarts, and we finally got there. I remember it was like 9:00 at night. They were closing. We got there. I ran home. I played like the first 2 hours of it, and my mom's like, Sean, it's time to go to bed. I'm like, all right. I went to bed. My dad comes in my room about 30 minutes later, wakes me up and goes, hey, mom's asleep. You can go down and play it. Don't worry. I'm not going to tell her.
Oh.
And I played for probably like 7 or 8 hours, and I just fell in love with it. From like the worlds to the combat is absolutely magnificent. It takes everything Kingdom Hearts 1 did and just elevates it. Sora, I love Sora, Donald, and Goofy. The worlds in that game are awesome. Shout out to Pirates of the Caribbean world. Kind of looks weird, but still awesome. It laid the groundwork for Kingdom Hearts 3's Pirates World, which is great. As one of my favorite Disney movies of all time, Mulan, is in that world, so I absolutely love that. Just overall, the game was awesome. Really like sad, heartwarming story. And just one more thing, shout out to Roxas, who you play as in the tutorial. My favorite Kingdom Hearts character of all time. And you learn much more about him. You learn more about him later on, but I mean, I could speak about this game forever, and like, it's so good, and there's so much to do in the game. I played this game so much that my friend was playing through it for the first time, and he didn't remember where he couldn't find something. He called me on the phone, and I just walked him through it on the phone without looking at anything. Like, yeah, you're gonna take a left here. Yeah, you'll be right there. Don't worry about it. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2, amazing game.
That's funny. Good pick. I would just want to say that normally we would keep this content locked behind our OnlyFans wall, but I have a strange suspicion that we're about to see Hodge's arm. I could be wrong. Hodge, what are your thoughts on Kingdom Hearts?
You guys can go first because I'm gonna have something to say about Kingdom Hearts with my pick. So you guys.
Okay, I'll go then. I haven't played any Kingdom Hearts games. I'm not a weeb. I don't care. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But honestly though, I haven't played them. I'm sorry. Locke, I doubt you've played them.
No. But maybe someday. You'll never know. You never know.
Yeah. Okay. Hodge, it's you.
Yeah, so Kingdom Hearts 2, so you were not lying. There's my arm. I have a Keyblade tattooed to my forearm.
OnlyFans.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, and I didn't say earlier, but I also have Gohan tattooed to my arm, which is when I was picking DBZ as my number 10. But so Kingdom Hearts 2, as you can tell with it being on my arm, the first two games are two of my favorite games of all time. I'm just gonna say really quickly, spoiler, mine is actually the first one. I'll get to it in a second. That's my number 2. But for Kingdom Hearts 2, it improved the combat in every single way from the first one. I love the first one, obviously, as I'll get to, but the second one improved the combat in every single way. The worlds got better. The gummy ship stuff was better in the second one, which I don't even like the gummy ship, but they improved it in the second one. The worlds just got bigger and better. The reason why I would pick the first one over is it's like I said with God of War, the sequel, it made it convoluted. The first one has a compact story. Don't get me wrong, I still love the world of Kingdom Hearts. The third one I have a soft spot for, even though it was nowhere nearly as good as the others. But the second one is I've been wanting to replay it. I've played the first one so many times. The second one I haven't played as much, but like the Tron world and stuff, adding that in there, it's it's so much fun. I listen to the soundtracks all the time. They're just such happy music to listen to. But yeah, the second one, it improved the first one in a lot of ways. Just the story, it didn't improve for me. But it's still a fantastic game, and I do love it. Which, unless anyone else has anything to say, going into, like I said, my number 2 is Kingdom Hearts 1. It's like I said, it's a compact story. It's its own. It's just the light versus darkness. You're the kid who you discover the Keyblade. You have to go around the world and help Donald Goofy just save the world from darkness, and you get to visit. It's like I remember seeing a Game Informer article announcing Kingdom Hearts when way back in the day, because I used to get Game Informer for most of my life. I got that magazine, and I'm actually still subscribed to it through GameStop, but I don't read it as much as I used to. And I remember seeing it. It's like they had a picture of Bambi, who's a summon in the first. I'm like, fuck it, a game with Bambi? Why would I want to play Final Fantasy meets Disney? Like, it sounds so stupid. And then I played it, and I fell in love with it. Like, I love the first game. It's like I said, it's its own story. It does leave it open at the end, but it could be its own game without a sequel, and it would be totally fine. but that's why I love the first one over the second one. It's the story itself I just find so much better, because and then the second one, it's like the villain in the first game is Ansem, and in the second game, like, just kidding, that wasn't Ansem, this is Ansem. I'm like, what's happening? Why is this happening?
Well, that was Ansem Seeker of Darkness. Come on, Ansem Seeker of Darkness, and you got Xehanort,
Yeah,
and you got
I'm like,
Xemnas.
yeah, I was just like, I have no idea what's going on. But the first one, it is always like, listen to the Traverse Town song and not have just instantly be happy. It's such an awesome song. And I too was a kid who grew up. I watched Lion King all the time, Toy Story, which was in 3, which was awesome. I watched Beauty and the Beast, even though that's a girly movie, whatever. It's still a great fucking movie. And yeah, I loved all those movies growing up. And so seeing them come to life in Kingdom Hearts, as hokey as it is when you say it's Final Fantasy meets Disney, it is a really weird concept that you think a man on meth would come up with, but it works. I don't know how, but it works. Like seeing Sora run around with Donald, Goofy, and Jack Skellington, you're like, I don't know how, but it works. I love it. It's such a fun game. And for those who also listen to LSM, they did like the most overrated games of all time in Houston last year, and Dustin picked Kingdom Hearts, and even I stood up, and I was never planning on talking. I don't like talking in front of crowds, but I stood up and was just like, you're right. It doesn't make sense, but I love it. I don't care. Like it's nonsense, but I love the world still at the same time. I will be there day one for Kingdom Hearts 4 when it comes out, as weird as it's going to look. But yeah, this series, it means so much to me. It's another thing that got me into action adventures, and that's another reason why I liked it, knowing that it was a Final Fantasy quote unquote game, but it wasn't turn based. It was live. It was just an action game, and I loved that that element of it. And yeah, I love Kingdom Hearts. I'm unapologetically in love with that series. I don't care. It's stupid, and it's even if it's a nonsense story, I still adore it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, the music is definitely great. Everyone knows that. Some great music from Kingdom Hearts. Even if you don't play the games, like some of the songs, like Simple and Clean and stuff. Great songs.
Yeah.
So basically, you're saying like it doesn't make sense, but you love it. So it's kind of like Kojima, except for disgusting weebs. Is that what you're saying? Basically.
I mean, kind of. Yeah. And Death Stranding's.
I'm sorry, Sean. Sean's gonna beat me up now. I'm personal attacks.
Yeah, that's the thing. Death Stranding, a lot of it was nonsense weirdness, but I still loved it. I don't care. It's weird and I love it. I'm weird. I don't care.
Shout out to Kingdom Hearts. I have a friend of mine who's a big Kingdom Hearts fan named Nick, or Killshot is his online name. Shout out to him. And he's a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, and he'd always talk about how he got emotional and was like almost crying during like trailers and scenes. So I know this is a great series that has a lot of resonance with people. I just personally haven't played it. Sean, his pick was Kingdom Hearts 1.
Yeah, really quick. The first one's only about 15 hours long, so it's not even that long of a game. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sean, you got some thoughts on Kingdom Hearts 1?
I mean, I basically told you guys I adore the series. Kingdom Hearts 1's great. I really do like the story. Like Hodge said, Kingdom Hearts 2 does improve on the combat, but the 1 has that nostalgic feeling. I remember being like, I was so little when it came out. It was 2002 when it came out, and I was so young that I remember getting stuck in like deep jungle, and like my sister's friend, my sister's older than me, my sister's friend Danny Pantano was playing it, and I remember like coming home and asking her, "Hey, can you ask Danny for me how to get through this part?" And she'd be like, "No, I'm not gonna." I remember like getting the courage. I was in first grade, he was in like fifth grade. I remember going up to him because we're in the same school, and like being like, "Hey, can you help me on Kingdom Hearts?" So I'm like, like 6 years old. He's like, I think he's like an adult. He's like 11.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Did he help you?
No.
How dare he? Yeah, I was gonna give him a shout out, but he doesn't get a shout out now.
Yeah.
All right. So are we satisfied with the Kingdom Hearts?
Yeah.
I want to apologize, by the way, to all the weebs out there. I'm just joking. Okay.
Don't apologize. No. Don't need to apologize.
I forgive you on behalf of everyone.
As we said, I am kind of a closet weeb, to be honest. So like I got my Goku cup holder here that my brother gave me. I like some weebery. I just never got into Kingdom Hearts. We're at number 1 now, right? Everyone's gone around. Or Lock.
Number two.
I'm sorry. General Lockmort, what is your number 2?
I'll keep it short.
Hearts.
Yes, Kingdom Hearts 3. No. My number 2 is Red Dead Redemption 2. For the very simple reason, I'll keep this very short because I think we're pressed for time, right? You just said that your friend cried at Kingdom Hearts, right? I have never cried or felt many emotions when playing a video game until I got to the somewhat end of Red Dead Redemption 2. That really got to me and made me bawl like a baby. It was such a great game. Even the combat, people always complain about the combat, but I thought the combat was amazing. Like the slow motion you could use and stuff. But the story and the characters are the best I've ever seen in any movie or game. They could never do this in a movie. They could never do this in a TV show. This only works in a game where you meet these characters, you spend like 50, 60 hours with them, you talk with them, you learn to know them, and then they slowly take them away from you. Brilliant, beautiful. The world is amazing. They're not really quests, but like the missions you do are amazing. Best story I've ever experienced in anything. I love it, and I'll play it until I die. Wonderful game.
Right on. Yeah, Red Dead 2. I'll get into some bars here. I love that game too. I beat it, obviously. I think we all know what moment you're talking about that teared you up at the end. Definitely very sad.
Don't.
Did you not play it, Sean?
I played the first one for the first time in January.
Okay, so you have to play 2 this year.
And I have no idea about I have no so I'm like really excited.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's so good. I actually like the first one better personally. Red Dead Redemption 1 I thought is a lot more fun. It's more
That's
fun.
true.
2 is graphically insanely beautiful, and the story is great, but it's not nearly as fun. It's more like sim elements. Like you almost feel like you're really in the West.
That's
like it
true.
takes a long time to get places, and your horse can freaking die. You gotta take care of your horse. But it's a phenomenal game. I think that's a great pick. I really enjoyed that game so much. Great pick. Anyway, Hodge, you got some thoughts on Red Dead?
All right. So I got like 2 things on it. I never beat Red Dead 2, and it's not because one, I don't like how much shit you have to do. Like, I really enjoyed it for a while, but then you like had to hunt and you have to like shave your face, and I'm like, what is happening? But what actually made me quit was I was doing one mission, and you start at your camp and you have to do the buggy ride, where it turns scenic, and which is cool, but it's like a 10-minute buggy ride to this mission, and it crashed 3 times once I got there. So I did that ride 3 times, and on the 3rd time it crashed, I just quit. I was like, I'm done. Maybe one day I'll get back to it, but for now I just can't do it. I'm just getting so pissed off right now, and because that was like right at launch, and so I'm at the point now where if they ever release like a 60 FPS patch, I will go back to it and I will play it and I will beat it. I'm sure I'll love it because I do love the first one, and the Undead Nightmare is my favorite expansion of any game ever. Because I don't really consider it DLC, it's an expansion.
Yeah,
so it is my favorite expansion of any game ever, and I love the first one. So I know I would love the second one once I beat it, but that just soured me on the game so quickly that I was like, I have to walk away from it for now. So if they ever do give it like a current gen patch like they've done for GTA for the last 67 years, then I'll do that, because also I'm not really that big of a Rockstar person. I've never played Bully. The GTA games, I've played them, but I've never cared about them. Red Dead was the first Rockstar game that I played, and I was like, I fucking love this. Like, it's so good. So I do want to play 2 eventually, but for now, I had to walk away from it when it came out, and now I'm just kind of waiting for the update, or hopefully an update that'll come with it one day.
That's okay, fair. Cool. All right. I think, Sean, we have, by my count, you have about 13 minutes left. Is that right? Something like that. Okay, so let's keep it moving. We're at number 1 now, boys, for real this time. Number 1 is going to be, for me, it is going to be...
Nice.
Now, okay, so this is cheating.
Andromeda. Nice.
Number 1, Mass Effect Legendary Edition is what I put down, but that's kind of cheating because it's 3 games, right? So I don't know if I'm allowed to do that. That's kind of cheating. Yeah. So I will say, if I have to pick one, my number 1 pick, I'm going to say is going to be Mass Effect 3. That's right, 3 over 2, baby. They're both great. Most people, I would say, if you ask, 7 out of 10 people will probably tell you Mass Effect 2 is their number 1. For me, it's 3, but they're really close. 2's phenomenal. But Mass Effect 3 is the culmination of everything. BioWare, the 3rd time that they've made my list. Shout out to BioWare, one of my favorite developers of all time. so like it's just so brilliant what they've done, how your choices carry over from story to story. Choices that you made in the first game, somebody's gonna die because of who you pick. Shout out to my cat, he also loves Mass Effect. And also shout out to Locke's cat, I saw him earlier, he made an appearance. Cute cat. I love cats.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the choices that you make carry over from game to game. And when you get to Mass Effect 3, I honestly had some of those emotional moments. Like I was getting teary. I was getting a little misty at a couple of moments. So you got like with Mortem, I think the scientist in the tower or whatever, that was very powerful. And at the end, a lot of people criticize the ending of Mass Effect 3, which is fair enough. The first version was kind of trash, but they did come out with the extended cut, which I think is quite serviceable. It's quite good. But they have this moment at the end of Mass Effect 3, without getting into big spoilers, where all of the factions and all of the people that you've met and convinced to join you kind of have like this Avengers coming together moment where you're getting to the final battle there. And then like, all of a sudden the I'm just going to make something up because I don't want to spoil it. All of a sudden the Geth Legion shows up in this, like, because you put in the time to build those relationships and you convince them to help you, then you get to see them show up and join the fight and they're like, we're here as promised. And it's so powerful. It's just so good. I love Mass Effect. I love Mass Effect 3, the whole thing, the Legendary Edition. I got the Steelbook, baby. It's amazing.
Nice.
You guys need to play it if you haven't. That's my number one pick. Does anyone have thoughts on Mass Effect real quick?
That's an awesome pick. That's amazing. I love all three of them. I only played the remaster until the mid of 2, I think, because I didn't have time. But I played the originals, of course, when they came out. And I'm definitely going to go back at some point to finish 2 and then 3. It's very interesting that you like 3 the most, because I also like 3 the most. I think that's the best one. That's the best payoff. Amazing trilogy. Amazing.
Yeah, that Avengers moment at the end when they show up, it's powerful, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said earlier in the show, I fell off 2 because I got busy with something, but I loved the first one, like genuinely loved the first one. And hearing people say like 2's the best and then 3, you guys are saying it's the best one, knowing that it gets better than that first one, I was so hyped to get to them. I need to get back to it. I just fell off. And that's actually how I played it, was that edition. But how is it that no other studio has ever had the brain power to be like, we need to do this thing where your choices carry over into the sequels? Like, how does no one do that?
I don't know.
The Witcher did it. The Witcher did it.
Oh, did they?
But they didn't really do it. Like at the start of 2, you could bring the choices you made in 1, but you can only like do them through choices. It's not like you import your save game, or I think 2 did that. But in 3, at the start of 3, you have to make like certain choices, but they didn't import your save. So Mass Effect was the only one, and Dragon Age, right, were the only ones that did that, really. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, it's so brilliant how they did it. Like the choice that you make in 1 where it leads to somebody dies, you will never see that person again in 2 and 3 because they're dead. So someone else who made a completely different choice, they're going to have completely different story and quests in 2 and 3. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Sean, have you played any of these? I don't remember. I don't think you have.
No, they're on my playlist. I have to play the Mass Effect series.
You do, and it's on Game Pass. If you have Game Pass,
it's also
the Legendary
it was also
Edition.
on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
The trilogy. Yeah.
There you go.
So
Get the platinum. I don't know how hard that is.
Jesus.
All right. Are we satisfied with Mass Effect, everyone?
Yeah.
That's an easy platinum, by the way. You just have to finish it with one character. Finish all 3 games and then do a little bit of the extra side quests, but it's an easy one. And you can get 4 of them. You can get 1 for each game and then 1 in total for all 3 of them.
Interesting.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I might have to do that at some time. Get some platinums.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it moving. Sean, what is your number 1 favorite game?
All right. Well, as a shocker to no one, it is a Final Fantasy game, and it is the original Final Fantasy VII. I mean, I absolutely adore this game. The first memory I have of this game is I was 2 or 3 years old. I remember watching my dad play it. It's like 1999, 1998, around there. And I remember watching him play it a little bit and being like, "Oh, this is so cool!" And I remember him telling me, like, he would like tell me verbally stories about it, and I was like, "Oh, Cloud's the man, Cloud's the man." And then I started playing the other Final Fantasy games on like the NES, Super Nintendo, and then in 2003, after playing Kingdom Hearts and meeting Cloud and being like, "This guy's awesome," I remember him from my dad, and I remember booting up. I put Final Fantasy VII, our original disc, which I still have. I put it in my PS2, and I remember just plowing through the game and doing everything and just falling absolutely in love with Cloud and Tifa, Barrett, and Red 13. Fun fact: we got a dog that year, and I wanted to name him Red 13 so bad, and my parents weren't having it. They're like, "No, we can't name him Red 13." You imagine, like, in the park, "Hey, Red 13, come over here, Red 13." But yeah, I fell in love with the story, and I used to. It's so embarrassing, but like as a kid, when you're learning to write, my third grade teacher would have us, like, she'd have like journals every morning would be writing time, and I just used to write about Final Fantasy VII every single day. I'd invent these convoluted stories that like happened like during the game, like before you get to the end of the game, about like Sephiroth and Cloud, and then I would write about the backstories, and then when Crisis Core came out, I was like, oh my god, there's some backstory here. And they introduced Zack, and I couldn't believe it. And so when they announced Remake, it blew my mind. Like, I could not wait for this game, for Remake. And yeah, but the original 7, just like, Gold Saucer is my favorite location of all time. And when I got to it in Rebirth, it was everything that I could have expected and more. So yeah, I don't know, just from like that turn-based combat, but at the same time it's active turn-based combat, and I have such nostalgia for that, just like polygonal PS1 graphics right there, even though I played it on PS2. But like, yeah, the game was so hard. It was like the first game I played where I got really upset when a certain character dies. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of that character, but when that character died, I still felt a connection, and I was still like upset. And yeah, it just was it was life-changing for me. I'll just say that.
All right. Good pick. For me, I'll keep it short. I have not played it. As everybody knows, if you listen to this show, it's on my to-do list. Hopefully in 2024, my goal is to play and beat the original. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic, and I'm looking forward to it. Lockmort, have you played it? Do you have anything to say for original Final Fantasy VII?
I haven't played it, and I would play it if I wasn't playing Rebirth, and if I didn't just play Remake. I don't think going back maybe is the smartest choice for me anyway, because I don't want to spoil myself on how it ends. And also, I've watched and edited so many videos about it that I basically already know what's happening at what point. So maybe that would be a bit reductive, but it looks amazing, and I know how much it means to a lot of people, including Sean, which is awesome. The game truly looks like a gem, so I'm sad I never played it.
Okay, right on. Hodge, why don't you go ahead and give us your thoughts on Final Fantasy VII, and then since you're up next, you can give us your number one.
Yeah, for sure. I loved this. Like, again, I grew up, I was not really a turn-based RPG fan. It just wasn't. I was a platformer kid. I loved those kinds of games, action adventures. But this one always stuck to me because of the world, and that's what carried me through it. And I replayed it before Remake came out, because I was like, I want to be refreshed on the world, even though I'm going to be replaying it in Remake. And I don't understand the people who say that like the very early on polygonal games are ugly. I still think it's a gorgeous game. I know it's like dated, quote unquote, like just physically dated, but I still think it's a beautiful game. I love that art style. I love it. It just looks awesome. But this game, I love it. And I've been loving Remake and Rebirth, and it is such a like colossal game for the industry, because it's still one of the most beloved games ever made. And yeah, I love every bit of it. I went out of my way to find Vincent and Yuffie and all that. Like, I would always do that. I wanted to do it all. And yeah, the world itself is, because again, like I said, it takes a lot for me to get into like a fantasy world. And since it was more like cyberpunk kind of or that kind of vibe, I liked it for that too. What were you saying, Nick?
I have a quick question, if I may. Can you get a platinum in Final Fantasy VII original, and is it impossible, or is it doable?
No, it's really easy to get. It's really easy.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna try to do that.
I didn't get all the achievements, but I remember it wasn't too bad. It was just kind of grindy to do it. But the story itself is only like, I mean, on my replay, I used the cheats of where your limit and your health keeps regenerating, just because I wanted to get through it a little quicker. And it took me 15 hours. So if you don't use that, it's probably a 20, 25 hour game. It's really not that long. but it's because back then it's funny that it was like a 4-disc game, but it's really not that big relatively to today. But yeah, my number one. But yeah, Final Fantasy, great game. My number one is actually the original Bioshock. This is another one. Actually, I remember seeing a Game Informer. I'm like, you're a weird, like, because they just were showing the big daddies, and I'm like, it's like a weird submarine game. Like, what? I don't even know what's going on. But then I actually, when I bought my 360 in 2007, like I said, I bought Halo 3 and Call of Duty 4 with it. I went home, and that was back when they had demos, and I played the demo for Bioshock, and I was floored with how cool it was. Like the first time you go underwater and you see Rapture, and the sub just takes you through the town while he's just talking about why the town was made and all that. And then you get down that you just park and you just see a person get murdered by a splicer. I'm like, what is happening? This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Then you get your first your power and all. I'm like, holy crap. And then the best game to have a twist where you didn't even think a twist was going to happen. Like it just happened out of nowhere, and you're like, what the fuck? So like it just in terms of storytelling, gameplay, it's just honestly a perfect game to me, and that's why I'm also so excited for Judas. I agree that Infinite is awesome. I think they're right there with each other. But I even love Bioshock 2. I know that's not a Ken Levine game, but it improved the gameplay from the first one. It just had a weaker story, but it was still an amazing game. And then obviously Bioshock 2's DLC, but just the first one, just the memory of having my 360 and playing it and just immediately falling in love with it, and it just being honestly a perfect game. It's probably my favorite game of all time for that reason. But yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll keep it brief here because time. Great game, love it. Not in my top 10, but close. It's definitely a phenomenal game. I'm a huge fan of the whole series. Everyone should play it if you haven't. Sean, you got any Bioshock thoughts quickly?
Phenomenal game. Played it for the first time in 2021. Adored it. Yeah, absolutely amazing. I immediately jumped into 2 right after.
Locke?
Yeah, amazing game. I would have put it in my list if I didn't put Bioshock Infinite in there. Amazing. Fantastic choice. Great.
Bring on Judas.
All right. Locke, as our guest, fantastic guest. Thank you again. I give you the honor. You get to bring us home. You get the final say. What is the number one, your favorite game of all time?
It's Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. No,
great pick.
No, it's Baldur's Gate. Yeah. No, it's Baldur's Gate 2. I love this game. I love everything about this game. If you love Baldur's Gate 3, or if you like Baldur's Gate 3, if you like Dragon Age Origins, if you like JRPGs, Sean, with like huge interconnected stories, you will love Baldur's Gate 2. I keep telling everyone, if you love any of those type of games, Baldur's Gate 2 is the best game you will ever play. That's, of course, coming from someone who puts it at his number one, and I've played it so many times over the years. Everyone I know who played Baldur's Gate 2, well, I mean, you got to be open for the combat, of course. It's not a very simple system. But everyone I talk to who played Baldur's Gate 2 after the fact says the same thing. Like, this game is just unbelievable. It's one of the most epic stories ever. It's also very personal. It's the characters you meet are like real life people. They talk differently. They have different accents. You know, these days in RPGs or in games, whenever you meet like a character, they have the same accent. They're from the same region. Sometimes they have a different skin color, or they're a different alien race, but they all speak American English or British English, and that's basically it. But in Baldur's Gate 2, they all have different accents. Some sound like Eastern European, some sound like American, some are Irish, English, British, French. It's all like mixed together really well. So that's really cool. But the stories and the characters you meet in the game are incredible. The best quests I've ever played, the best characters I've ever met in a game. It's wonderful. The only reason I didn't put Red Dead 2 over this is because Baldur's Gate 2 has like the story lasted me like 300 hours, while Red Dead 2 lasted me, I think, 150 hours. So yeah, Baldur's Gate 2 will always be my favorite game of all time, I think. Yeah.
Fantastic. You got Hodge, any thoughts on that? Have you played it? Probably
no,
not.
Pretty much the same thoughts I had on 3. It's just a timing thing of why I've never played.
Yeah.
Sean, how about you?
Locke, I remember you talking about the song. I think it was Summon Sign, and
Yep.
yeah, after you talked about that, it made me want to play Baldur's Gate 2. But like again, I want to replay 3 at first, so
Yeah.
I will eventually play 2. I'm gonna eventually play 2.
Nice.
Is it a BioWare game?
It's one of the first BioWare games. Yeah.
Because I know they did the first one, right? And 2?
Yep. And 2 too. Yeah.
I got to get to it eventually. I got to. All right. Are we satisfied with that?
Yeah.
Everyone good? All right. Let's go ahead. And I know Sean has to go. Let's go ahead and it's been a long episode, man. It's been 2.5 hours here. Locke, thank you so much for giving us your time and being a guest. I want to go ahead and give you the floor right now as our amazing guest. Why don't you go ahead and tell us where we can find you? What do you have going on? Anything you want to plug? Anyone you want to shout out? The floor is yours, sir.
Okay, well, I'm going to keep this very, very brief. I just wanted to thank you. You guys are amazing. I feel really honored to have been on here. You're doing great. I hope you get many more viewers than you're currently getting. Not because of me, but in like future episodes, of course. You're doing amazing. I can't wait to see how you grow. People can find me on Twitter. People can find me on Retro Rebound, but that's not important. People should find you guys. You're doing amazing. All 3 of you are fantastic. I can't get enough of you. I want to see more of you. Please continue.
Well, thank you so much for that. That means a lot coming from you. We love you. I consider you a great friend. I want to make sure we have you back on again. I know we will. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, Locke, you're the man. Absolutely love everything you do. You're such a good person. Yeah, you're such a good person. You were there for me during Locke, you were there for me during a really hard time in my life. So
he really is. He's such a great person. Like he has the persona of like the anti-weeb, like gonna smite people, like this evil persona. But he's actually one of the most nice, down to earth people that you'll ever meet. So shout out to Lockmort. Thank you so much. Let's go around. It's been a great episode. It's been a long episode. Everybody, if you've made it this far, we love you. We appreciate it. Please leave a like, leave a comment, rate us 5 stars on podcasts. Thank you so much. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up, everybody. This has been Games Over Plastic episode number 3 with special guest General Lockmort, the editor-in-chief, the Anti-Weeb Alliance General. Thank you so much. Please clap, everyone. Please clap.
Please clap.
Please clap. And that's it. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
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 All right.